This ESPN telecast of the NASCAR Busch Series on ABC is available in high definition on ABC HD, presented by Vizio. Beautiful day for the Sharpie Mini 300 here at the famed Bristol Motor Speedway. As you look down on this glorious scene, it's a fan favorite here. And we're just about ready to fire them up. Wayne Beecham, the CEO of SP Richards Company, has the honors.
Race fans, to deliver the most famous words in NASCAR, here's Wayne Beecham, CEO of SP Richards. Wayne, what do you say?
Drivers, start your engines.
"43 drivers ready to take the green. And we'll go green as we continue with ESPN on ABC.
Back at Bristol Motor Speedway, take a look at our starting grid, led by a 19-year-old Stephen Wallace, getting his first ever NASCAR Busch Series pole and just his 24th start. Alongside him, fellow Penske-powered Dodge for Ryan Newman. Now, as you take a look at where your favorite NASCAR Busch Series driver will be starting across the top of your screen, let's visit with our in-race reporter, which will be the Geico Chevrolet driver, Mike Wallace, starting back in 30th position.
Mike Wallace, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us.
Hey, Rusty, I got you.
Mike, I tell you what, today it's about 80 degrees. It's the hottest it's been here in Bristol in a long time. The track conditions are going to be a lot different from yesterday. You feel like you got your car driving right under these conditions?
I'd like to say I had a perfect car, but I'm not sure I got it right yet. But I think I'll just talk to you during the race. You've won this race 9 times. Your Busch car's sitting on the pole here. So, but I think I'll be in good shape. I think I'll get it handled here.
All right, Mike, one of the key things of this racetrack to keep your car on the bottom of the racetrack so you don't get freight train. You feel like you can keep that car down in the center 1 and 2?
I actually believe I can. After talking to you a little bit, I need to back my entry up a little bit. I'm starting on the outside. I need to get to the bottom right away. That's the big part at the start of the race here. But I think if I can roll the center of the corner, my car is good for forward bite up off the corner. So I think I can get there and stay down there.
All right, Mike, have a great race. Nice talking to you.
All right, thank you very much. Come back and join the Geico Chevrolet anytime.
All right, we wish Mike Wallace well. And instead of talking to the crew chief like we normally do, today we're going to switch it up and go all the way upstairs and talk to a very valued member during this kind of racing, the spotter, Steve Barkdahl.
Hey, Steve Barkdahl, Andy Petrie up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, Andy, got you loud and clear.
Hey, Steve, at a track with 15-second laps, what's the biggest challenges for a spotter?
Well, you know, Andy, I think the biggest thing I got to try to help Mike keep the fenders on, the radiator dry, and look out for them chain reaction accidents that seem to happen here.
10-4, Steve. You guys have a good race.
Thank you very much.
If you want to know where the spotters are, take a look. They are 20 stories high, way above this racetrack. That's where Steve Barkdahl and the other spotters are. What a remarkable vantage point they will have to watch these cars for 300 laps. Well, we have 8 total high-definition onboard cameras along with the Geico Chevy. You just heard from Mike Wallace. We've got the Camping World Toyota for Dave Blaney, the Z-Line Design Chevy for Kevin Conway, the Family Dollar Dodge for Mike Bliss, the FreeCreditReport.com Ford for David Gilliland, the Bounty Super Duty Chevy Rating Series champion Kevin Harvick, the City Financial Ford, that's Robert Yates' car, for Stephen Light, and the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota for David Rudeman. All high-definition onboard cameras. Well, what about some of the final stories from pit road? Let's start out with Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, Stephen Wallace starting on the pole for the first time ever. So I asked him, what's your goal now? He said, my sights are on victory. Not just one victory. He wants 10 victories here at Bristol. Why? because his dad, Rusty Wallace, won here 9 times. Shannon?
Jamie, in 4 Bristol Busch starts, Ryan Newman has 4 top 10s. He's starting second today, and he said he absolutely thinks his team is capable of getting the win. Dave?
Shannon, Carl Edwards has not won yet here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And in his Nextel Cup car, he is struggling this weekend, 32nd in qualifying. But here, he loves his Busch Series car. Awesome, he's called it. Look for the 60 car to make a run for the front of the field as the points leader. Not cruising today, but running aggressively. Mike.
Dave, drivers will tell you one of the most effective ways of getting around a car here at Bristol is to simply knock him out of the way. The front bumper is used almost as frequently as the accelerator. The Bristol bump and run has become an acceptable form of contact. The question, though, Jerry, is when to use it.
All right, let's check in with Andy or Petrie. What are the keys to the race here for 300 miles, Andy?
Well, keeping the fenders on the car, Jerry. You got to stay out of trouble, keep those fenders on the car to have anything to race with at the end. And you got to keep that car glued to the bottom of the racetrack. You got to keep it right on that yellow line all the way, all day long, if you're going to have a shot and be able to get underneath cars and pass cars. And this tricky pit road, we talked about it earlier, but this pit road is very tricky, and getting on and off pit road clean is key.
Okay, no one better knows our pole sitter, 19-year-old Stephen Wallace, and his dad, Rusty Wallace. And Rusty, what's your young man thinking about right now?
Well, right now he's got some veterans wrapped around him. He's got Ryan Newman. He's also got Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, guys like that. He just wants to keep the car glued to the bottom, like Andy said. He can't get up high and get freight trained early in the race and get sent to the back. With that said, if he's got a bad handling car, he's just got to hold on and wait for that first pit stop. Jerry, I can tell you guys right now, see what the track looks like in these cars. In just a matter of time, these guys are going to start getting lapped.
300 laps, the Battle of Bristol, NASCAR Busch Series style, coming your way live, ESPN on ABC. That is just how fast things happen here at Bristol, Tennessee. 15-second laps, and Stephen Wallace leads the first time by, but now starting to get a challenge from the veteran Carl Edwards.
He better be careful to keep that thing on the bottom of the racetrack. He just got the nose way up high in 3 and 4. And Edwards stuck that nose underneath it. That's what you don't want to have happening, and that's what Stephen's doing wrong right now. He's being a little vulnerable. He's going to have to calm down and keep the car down low.
It looks like Carl Edwards getting a little pressure from Ryan Newman.
Well, Ryan got hung on the outside on the restart. The second lane is not in yet, Andy. It's pretty dirty up there. And the guys really want to stay in the bottom because if you get up top, there's just no grip.
Front 4 cars, Dodge, Ford, Dodge, Chevrolet. Stephen Wallace, Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman, and Clint Boyer back in 4th position.
Ryan Newman was complaining about the track being dirty those first couple of laps there. It's kind of hard when you're starting on the outside to get it to really have any racing room. It's kind of all this whole thing is right on the bottom of the racetrack, and you get shoved up in that upper groove, and when it's dirty and you start sliding around in that, it makes it even worse.
I'm really surprised how they got single file pretty quick. You see a lot of respect already kicking in out of these drivers because they know if they race side by side on the top of this track, caution is going to happen any second, and it usually happens off of turn 2 where it usually happens right off the bat.
Right now everybody's being calm, but whenever leaders start getting around to these lap cars, you're going to see some impatience.
Well, you guys talked about patience, and it didn't take long. Oh, hard crash. The 47 car of John Wood. Also involved is the 36, and that is Brent Sherman.
Get out, John. Can, bud.
That's too bad.
That's a little fire over here.
That's the second car for John Wood. He had to go to a backup car after crashing in qualifying.
One thing I didn't like, we just saw there was flames coming out of the gas hole where you refuel the car. That's not a good thing because that gets right to the fuel cell, which could cause an explosion.
Yeah, the fireman right on the scene there got it put out. Good to see Brent Sherman getting out of his car.
And you got to feel for John Wood right now. I mean, he's had a bad crash last weekend, lost his primary car in practice. Now he's lost it again. Just a bad time for John Wood.
All right, let's see if we can see what happened. Lap 7 coming out of turn 4. Whoa.
We got to see that one more time, Jerry. It looks like the car just hung a dead right, like a suspension failure or something like that.
I didn't know what to say there. I've never seen one do that.
Look, the car just hangs a dead right. That is very strange. That's like almost a steering wheel came off or something.
Well, you can't even turn it that abruptly into the wall. Like something just snapped abruptly. And there was nowhere whatsoever for Brent Sherman to go. The North Barrington, Illinois driver, as we are under caution again. The first time today here on lap 7. Hard impact by John Wood, and then Sherman in the left side. Back in a moment. Back at Bristol Motor Speedway under caution for the first time today. John Wood has already had troubles. This happened in qualifying earlier today with his primary car. And then on lap 7, in the backup car, it abruptly goes across the wall, into the wall, and he gets tagged nowhere to go by the 36 car of Brent Sherman. And they are still trying to remove John Wood's car after what has just been an abysmal day for the third generation young man in the Wood brothers family out of Stewart, Virginia. And let's check in down on the pits, I think, where Shannon is caught up with Brent Sherman.
That's right, we're here with Brent Sherman. He just left the infield care center. Tell me what happened.
Well, it's pretty simple. I think somebody got in the 47 car and came down right in front of us. I mean, things happen so fast here, and it's just disappointing for the Big Lots team and the Big Lots Chevrolet. It's same thing happened us 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas, and we just wanted to have a clean run and try to stay out of trouble. I thought maybe I could have avoided it, but, you know, you're going so fast here, just nothing I could do.
An early day for Brent Sherman. Back to you, Doc.
All right, thank you very much. Good thing is both these drivers are okay. Now let's check in with our in-race reporter, the Geico Chevrolet driver, Mike Wallace, who's already moved up 4 positions.
Mike Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
Yeah, go ahead, I got you.
Mike, you've already moved up 4 positions. It looks like your car's not too bad a shape. How's turn 1 and 2 going? Because you've been struggling there in practice. Is the track conditions much different with this hot temperature?
Really doesn't feel that bad. My car was really good up on the outside on the first lap, and unfortunately about got wrecked off of turn 4 there to start his second lap, but just calmed my entry down. It's rolling the bottom of the corner good, so everything's good. I'm just a little free right now, and hopefully that'll come a little fuel burn, get off, it'll be good.
All right, Mike, have a good race. We'll talk to you later on.
All right, Mike Wallace, one of 2 Wallaces in the race here. So as we are in the early laps here of NASCAR's Busch Series racing, hope you're enjoying our NASCAR coverage, ESPN on ABC.
The IndyCar Series opener is tonight in Miami, where Busch Series part-timer Sam Hornish Jr. sets his sights on his 4th IndyCar Series championship beginning here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Tonight also marks the start of a new era for Danica Patrick, driving her first race for owner Michael Andretti. Meanwhile, Miami resident Elio Castroneves tries to capture his first win tonight in Southern Florida, while pole sitter Dan Weldon hopes to repeat his Miami win from last year. As the sun sets tonight, we'll crank up the lights, and after last season's photo finish, we're all guaranteed 200 mile-per-hour of side-by-side action. It's the IndyCar Series in prime time, live from Miami, coverage beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. For now, let's go back to Jerry in Bristol.
Thank you very much, Marty. Marty Reed along with Scott Goodyear, Jackie Root, and our entire group down there getting the IndyCar IRL season opener. Dan Weldon on the pole. Weldon's won the last 2 Homestead events in a row, but Sam Hornish, who's part-time competitor here in the NASCAR Busch Series, who qualified 5th at Atlanta last week, by the way, in the Penske Busch car outside the front row. Who do you like early, Rusty?
Oh, I tell you, Weldon was good last year, and so was Hornish, but Castroneves is who they haven't been talking about. Castroneves had that heated battle with Weldon right at the end, Jerry. I can tell you one thing, when this Busch race is over, I'm going to grab me a ham sandwich and a Coca-Cola or something and fly right back to the TV, because it's going to be a barn burner tonight in Homestead. And this whole entire infield here at Bristol Motor Speedway, they've been telling me we're going to go watch the IndyCar race tonight.
I can't wait to see Danica Patrick's debut in the Andretti green cars. They've been awfully good, that entire stable, so it should be fun to watch 8 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. Well, no one coming on pit road here during this first caution flag today. Let's check in with Dave.
And talking about Carl Edwards running second, he asked that a message be delivered to the 66 driver ahead of him via their spotters. Tell him it's time to go. I'm faster than him. I can pass him in the middle of the corner, and I've got to go. The message delivered to Stephen was, hey, the 60's getting ready to move you out of the way. They relayed that back to Carl, and Carl said, that's not the message I wanted delivered. Just tell Stephen I got to go. I don't know what else to tell you, Mike.
Well, Bobby Labonte had a pretty good starting position, 5th, but he's dropped a couple of spots, having people scratching their heads. He's a little bit loose on exit, sliding the car a little bit through the corners. It's cost them 2 positions on the racetrack, but they're hopeful that once the air pressures do come up, that'll rectify the problem. Doc?
All right, thank you, guys. Now, I got to ask Rusty Wallace, if you could talk to Steven, which you can't right now, and you heard what Carl Edwards said, hey, you're holding me up, I need to get by. What do you tell your young son?
Well, it's a long race. It's 300 laps. If he can move up and let Carl go by if he's quicker, that's the proper thing to do. Jerry, the problem, though, is if you do that, you're going to get freight train. You're going to go clear to the back of the pack. But that might be better than getting wrecked. So if he can find an opening behind Carl to get back into the bottom lane, that's what he needs to do. Looks like his car's a little tight on entry. He needs to settle down right now and let that thing stay on the bottom of the track.
Yeah, Carl Edwards probably needs to just, let the thing kind of sort out a little bit. Don't push the issue early. There's no reason to try to go anywhere right now. Too early in the race to be pushing and shoving. So I just let the race sort out a little bit. And then if Carl Edwards is faster than Steven, then I tell Steven let him go.
More from Carl Edwards, Dave?
And here's the quandary that Carl Edwards is in. The only reason he really delivered that message is that he's feeling the heat from behind. You guys consider Ryan Newman a patient driver? He's putting the pressure on Carl, and that's the reason that the whole conversation started.
Well, the good thing for Stephen Wallace is that Carl Edwards is a friend to him. He's got a lot of friends out there behind him, and they're going to be patient with Steve because he's a rookie. They understand that, and they don't want to get in a wreck themselves. So the big thing here at Bristol, patience, man. That's what we need right now.
All right, the 12 car of Ryan Newman, by the way, that is the first start of the year for Ryan Newman, in case you're wondering which car Ryan is in. He is the 3rd car on your screen in the 12 car for Roger Penske. Ryan Newman, who led the most laps in this race, Busch Series race here back in August from the pole. He is chomping at the bit. He started to look inside a couple of times at Carl Edwards and thought better of it. So I'm sure Edwards is saying, look, if I sit here too long, Newman's going to jump me, so I got to jump little Wallace.
That kind of stacks up back through the field. And as they run and the patience just gets a little less and a little less, and next thing you know, somebody's into somebody else, and then you got everybody mad at each other.
These guys,
that's just Bristol.
They can stay patient for about 8-10 laps, and all of a sudden they get hit in the back of the bumper, and it wakes them up a little bit, and all of a sudden they hit somebody else, and all of a sudden they feel like they're in a compactor. What'd you call it, Jerry? What we talked about, blender. They feel like they're in a blender getting all beat up, and so then they've got to say, man, I got to go, and they get nervous, and that's what's going on right now with Edwards.
Yeah, you don't want to end up with crushed ice here. Let's check in the Stephen Wallace pits with Jamie.
Well, Doc, you guys are talking about that message that Carl Edwards is trying to relay to the number 66 of Stephen Wallace. So I just asked Bryant Frazier, his crew chief, so did you guys give him the message? He looked at me and said, no, you guys just go ahead and tell Carl Edwards the whole outside lane is open. Go for it.
You got a pretty good crew chief there, Rusty.
Oh, boy, I don't know if I would have said it that way or not, but anyway, they've done a good job getting themselves in the front row. Now they just got to get this baby home. You know, this race is about 50 laps longer than it generally is. It's usually a 250 mile or so. These guys got a little more time. They can be a little more patient.
Well, remember last year in the spring, Stephen Wallace qualified 3rd, took the lead and led 3 laps, was running in the top 10 until he was tagged, got involved in an incident with a veteran driver, caused him to spin, and ended up finishing 33rd. So we're trying to find out exactly, let's find out what Carl Edwards is talking about with the guys on pit road.
Well, the message was delivered to him is kind of like we're going to go ahead and move him out of the way on purpose. So I'm just saying, I don't know what he's thinking in there, but just be careful with him.
Yeah, no, I just was trying to let him know we're just faster, you know, we got to go. So that message is kind of correct.
You know, Carl Edwards, you made the point. Carl Edwards is a very clean race driver.
Very clean, yes.
He's not the kind of guy that's going to try to jump on somebody and move him out of the way intentionally. Pace car is off. Let's see what happens. Getting ready to go back to green at Bristol. Whoa, trouble on the racetrack down in turns 2. Keselowski involved. As 3 cars spinning around the 90 car also involved. That is Stephen Light.
And I hate that for Keselowski, the 23 car. This kid's had such a good run all week long, fast in qualifying, fast in practice. But it looks like he doesn't have much damage, Andy.
Yeah, it looks like all these guys are going to be able to continue. Not a lot of damage, at least on the 23 car.
Let's watch him now sailing into turn 1. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. behind Casey Kane, and right into the back of the 38, Jason Leffler.
This is a typical accordion effect. Somebody in the front just bobbles a little bit, and it all stacks up. The reaction time is just so much less as it stacks up behind.
A little bit farther forward in our replay, though, it looks like the 38 got awful close to the 23. 23 had to get out of the throttle, keep from hitting the 10 car of Blaney. Jason Leffler got into it, and this is just a classic Bristol chain reaction. Nobody's fault, just all got jammed up getting in the corner.
Well, caution now being shown here on the high banks of Bristol for the second time. An accordion accident in turn 1 involving Leffler, Keselowski, and others. Back with the green in a moment.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Busch Series on ABC. Brought to you by Aaron's, with over 1,400 stores nationwide. Everyone's a lucky dog at Aaron's. And Redline the movie, in theaters April 13th, rated PG-13.
Under caution for the second time today at Bristol Motor Speedway, and that allows the 14 car of Kyle Krisiloff to be our lucky dog, our Aaron's lucky dog. He gets the free pass. He was the first driver 1 lap down, and now gets back on the lead lap. Hopefully he won't have the problems he had at Atlanta, where he's trying to get his lap back and a car pulls right up in front of him and almost takes the front end of his car off. And speaking of damaged cars, Shannon Spake is caught up with John Wood.
That's right. John Wood has been checked out and released from the infield care center. The guys up in the booth have said that what it looked like, that wreck, was that the wheel came off your car, the steering wheel. Is that what happened?
I wish I could use that excuse. I don't know. From the replay that I saw earlier, it does indicate that something broke. I don't know what, because I was driving along, and then the next thing I know, it's in pieces. And I'm hearing, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" But you know, I'm fine. I hate it for Clorox. I hate it for all my guys. They've worked so hard, and we've had nothing but bad luck here at Bristol the whole day.
It was a pretty tough hit, John. How are you feeling?
You can't stop a train. You can derail it, but you can't stop it.
All right, John Wood in good spirits, considering it's been such a tough day. Doc?
All right, thank you, Shannon. The exuberance of youth. 25-year-old John Wood able to smile despite the fact that it has been a horrible day. He had trouble in qualifying. The car up against the wall, almost in the exact same spot. And then on lap 7, the car veers abruptly across the racetrack, comes down, and he gets T-boned in the door by Brent Sherman, who had nowhere to go. Certainly no fault of Brent's.
We got to feel sorry for not only John, but the entire team. They've lost 3 cars now in 2 races, and that's an extreme amount of money, a lot of work, a lot of time. They got themselves behind now with the cars, and so they got to buckle down. And it's like you said, you can't stop a train. These guys don't quit. They'll get back at it.
All right, the youngster Stephen Wallace has led in all 31 laps from the pole. The question is, how long can he stay there? Veterans behind him, Carl Edwards and Ryan Newman, want to get by. Green flag coming your way as they head out of turn 4.
Green, green, green. Protect that bottom.
Carl Edwards on the move. Stephen Wallace gets a little bit out of shape. Here's Kyle Busch. Here comes Edwards on the inside as Wallace slides up in the middle group, opens a door. Edwards gets by. Now can Ryan Newman get by?
Now here's the problem you got. We talked about getting freight train. You get hung on the outside of the racetrack, and I don't see much of a hole until about 6 cars back. So he's got to be patient right now. He can get tucked in probably in front of the 88 car, Shane Huffman. That's a good friend of his that he trusts, and that's what's going to happen. But he gets behind Biffle. Classic case of freight training.
He goes from 1st to 7th, and that happens at Bristol, Tennessee, where you just can't get back in line. Carl Edwards takes the lead as the cars flash by at over 125 miles an hour. Let's watch again what happened and how Carl Edwards was able to get by young Wallace.
Well, you can tell Carl put a lot of pressure on him. Didn't rough him up too much. He gave him a little shot in the center of the corner and said, "Hey, I'm here. I want big wreck." Going into turn 3, Jared. Big crash.
Marcus Ambrose, the rookie driver from Australia in the 59 car. That's the other Wood Brothers JTG racing car, the team car. J.J. Yaley involved in the 1. As we now have caution for the 3rd time today. and heavy damage. And you would think on a short track there wouldn't be this significant a damage when cars hit, but that's not the case at all.
Are we done or what?
Cars
we're all right here.
Cars are just going so fast and the track is so small that there's nowhere to go. And when they hit hard.
Let's take a look at this replay, Andy. 38 way down on the apron. That's not where you need to be. Slides up. And as they exit, just gets a little piece of the 59 car of Marcus Ambrose. Now, he gets a little payback himself right there as his left front fender catches the 38 of Leffler. Now, getting down on the apron on the flat, wide open going at the corner is not the place to be either.
No,
so
you're just asking for trouble if you're racing on the apron at Bristol. And this 38 team has had a rough couple of weeks too. They crashed really hard in California. He hit really hard last week at Atlanta, and now they've torn up another car. So these guys need to be thinking about being a little more patient.
patience is the key word, because you want to take opportunity. If you see the door open up here at Bristol, you want to jam your nose in there, because you don't want to be one of those guys getting held up. You could already see that 3 laps in the race, Edwards is getting real impatient with Steve. And that's what happens to all these drivers. They want to get all they can as early as they can, because track position is really important.
All right, Greg Connor and company trying to work on the 59 car. Here are the leaders after 37 laps. Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, and Greg Biffle. That's the top 5. After 37 laps, we are under caution for the 3rd time today. This incident involving a couple of cars. Jason Leffler on the bottom of the racetrack, contact with Marcus Ambrose, and J.J. Yaley had nowhere to go.
Bristol is a prestige track. It's constant action. Bristol's kind of like a big stadium. There's stands around the whole racetrack. It drives like a roller coaster. Bristol is a love-hate racetrack. Everybody loves to go there, but everybody hates the racetrack because you always tear your cars out. It's the best racetrack for action. You got to survive and have a fast car at the end.
It's Bristol, and as we said at the top of the day, you can expect anything to happen. We've had 38 laps completed here today, and 26 have been under caution. 4 cars have already been knocked out. Brad Keselowski drives one of them, and he's with Dave, so let's check in with them.
And Brent, he started the day 12th, led final practice yesterday. A very optimistic start to your weekend, Brad, but obviously just collected out there.
Yeah, you know, really don't know what to say. We definitely had the strongest car I've ever drove, and you know, I was really proud of the whole team for everything they did. And what are you gonna do? I mean, the same guy caused 2 wrecks on me in 38 laps. Just really frustrated by that, but that's Bristol, and not much you can do. It's just a tough day for our Oklahoma Centennial Monte Carlo.
Now, Brad, which driver was that, and how does a young guy like you go approach a veteran driver like that with that little bone of contention?
Well, yeah, it was a 38 car. I mean, we had to restart there around lap 24 and, you know, got dumped basically, and that was pretty frustrating. And then, you know, we come in, work real hard and try to get it fixed, and 5 laps later, he wrecks someone else and collects us again, and that's really, really, really frustrating. But, you know, we're still happy to be here, and at least we proved that we can run competitively, and really don't know what the answer is to why he did that, but we'll just move on.
All right, they did have a good weekend going, Brent.
So we bring you back 38, of course, Jason Leffler's car down there that was involved in that. And Ray, I know that if we can look ahead for just a moment for tomorrow, you've got a very special guest who's going to be joining you again. And I want to ask you about the investment possibilities with Mr. George Gillette.
Well, I don't think it's any secret that we've been talking about partnerships, and George Gillette will be here and spend some time with me, and he's the owner of the Montreal Canadiens for you hockey fans. But it's great to see people such as the Fenway Group and people like Mr. Gillette being interested in NASCAR. It just goes to show how popular the sport really is.
And also how expensive it's becoming, Brad, for all of these teams. We've already seen Roush Racing reach out to one of the owners of the Boston Red Sox. So I would think all this ownership would have to look for additional dollars.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. You have to find out ways to subsidize your race teams, and it's expensive. It's very difficult, and it's very expensive today out here watching these guys.
Ray, give the audience a sense, talking about expensive. A tire, just a simple race tire, how much does it cost a team?
Well, tires are about $1,600 a set, and we don't get to keep them because you have to lease them, and and when you turn them in. But tire bills for the Cup cars can run into millions and millions of dollars. But as Brad said, the sheet metal on fixing these cars today is going to be expensive. So maybe it's good that NASCAR's got them on a little red flag timeout. Everybody can cool down a little bit.
So you folks, if you got an extra $7.5 million sitting out there, come on in. They'd love to have you sponsor one of these Busch cars. So we have the cars stopped out on the track, and we have had one caution after another here already, several major accidents, and we will continue with our coverage here from the Bristol Motor Speedway right after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
Well, everything happens in a hurry here at Bristol Motor Speedway. No, they don't park the trucks that fast. We sped it up. But Carl Edwards is our leader. Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, and Greg Biffle. That's a top 5 after 39 of 300 laps. And Rusty Wallace and Andy Petrie, I got to ask you guys, you heard Brad Keselowski talk about how angry he was with the driver because he said he got dumped on the restart. As a driver, how do you handle that with someone else? I mean, what would you do if that happens to you?
I'm frustrated as a driver. There's no doubt about that. If I look up and I see the same guy getting one wreck and then he gets another wreck, and because of that wreck, I get involved in it, hey, I'm staying as calm as I can, but I'm still mad. Now, look, it's another thing to be up your armchair quarterback, and we really don't know what happened down in the seat of the 38 car at Jason Leffler. If his car wasn't handling right, but he's got himself into 2 situations right now. There's some big wrecks. Andy, I do have a question to ask you, though. As a car owner, our crew chief, or Dale Earnhardt, the late Dale Sr., when he got upset, how'd you calm him down?
But usually the other guys were upset. We'd have to kind of sneak our way out sometimes because he was aggressive on the racetrack. But I tell you what, there's some hurt feelings I've seen out here already today, and I guarantee you there's going to be some more before the day's out.
All right, we are at Bristol Motor Speedway. There is Jason Leffler, and I'm sure he probably would have a different take on what's happening as you look at his Toyota being serviced on and off pit road. Well, the leader right now is Carl Edwards. Let's check in with his crew chief, Pierre Cattell. Dave Burns standing by.
Well, and Dr. Punch, I thought we would check with PK and see if you thought he could have taken the lead any more gently from the 66 car. That was a pretty good move, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, Carl was just wanting to let them know that he had a pretty good car in the center. Thought the 66 was a little bit tight. Just want to let them know they had a lot of pressure from the 12. So just wanted to kind of get up there pretty gently.
Can I kick you forward toward the end of the race here? When do you think you'll make your last pit stop, Pierre?
Oh, God. You go 150 some odd laps on fuel, so I'm going to have to see how it plays out.
There's some very interesting strategies down here, guys. Don't be surprised if one of these guys pits early and doesn't pit again.
All right, Dave, thank you. Rusty, your thoughts on Carl Edwards' pass? It was just a bit of a nudge, but it was pretty gentle on your son, Steve Wallace.
No, that was a good pass. I mean, it was a gentle nudge. They're all impatient. They all want to get going, but I thought Carl did a good job, and I have no problems with that. No harm, no foul, right, Andy?
Well, you know, that's the best way to get a guy loose in front of you is just kind of lift his rear wheels up a little bit, and that's what he did, and he did it gently, took the spot, and no harm done.
Yeah, Carl Edwards definitely is a class act on and off the racetrack. And what we're talking about, folks, is at lap 32, Stephen Wallace had led all 32, but here's just a nudge from the 60 car.
Well, what happened? Steve got into turn 3 a little too hot, got in high. His car wasn't running as quick through the center. You can see that Carl Edwards really picked the throttle up, but here's Stephen's problem. Now he's getting freight trained, but he did find a slot to get back in. And right now he's sitting over there in 6th position, which is really good.
Well, he's got a NASCAR Busch Series champion in front of him and one behind him. In front of Stephen Wallace is Greg Biffle, the 2002 champion, and behind him is Bobby Labonte, and behind him is Kevin Harvick. So experience all around for a young man who's just making his 24th career start. Speaking of Kevin Harvick, has he got some problems, Mike?
Well, Jerry, Kevin Harvick riding a streak of 8 consecutive top 5 finishes here in Bristol, but today has not gone all that smoothly. Not too long ago, he encountered some radio problems. all he could do was hear his spotter. He could not communicate with his spotter, could not communicate with his crew chief. The spotter's microphone was hung open. They did finally rectify it. Earlier this week, Kevin Harvick said this is a rhythm race. He has not been able to find that rhythm because of these cautions. Under that last red flag, he was able to radio back, and he joked, saying, this might be a night race after all.
It certainly is going to take a while. We have had only 12 laps run under green. For more information on radio communications, you can go to ESPN.com, keyword communications, as you're able to understand and hear what's some of the chatter is back and forth between the driver and crew chief, and of course also the spotters.
Rhythm is a key word. If they can't get their rhythm going, they don't know how their car is going to handle, and that's what these guys are wanting, longer runs to see what kind of adjustments they need to make. They just can't get there yet.
Let's see if they can settle down here and get to some green flag racing.
Clear all around.
Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman, and Kyle Busch. That 5 car of Kyle Busch has led 297 laps in the first 5 events. He has led the most laps in the last 2 events and has yet to win. So he definitely is going to be hungry to try to get to the front.
Right now it's about 82 degrees outside. It's warmer than I've ever remembered seeing up here in Bristol, Tennessee, Andy. It's usually kind of cold. In fact, last year it snowed. And right now these guys got to negotiate a track that's kind of slick. You can hear them spinning the wheels up off the corner. They don't have the forward bite they like to have, and already some of them got rooted up out of the track.
It's almost like it is in August, even though we race at night when it's later in the year, but it's really warm out there, about 80 degrees. Definitely changing the way the car's handled.
Wow, what a great picture on that high-definition rear bumper cam off of Mike Wallace's Geico Chevy.
Yeah, he's not careful. He's going to get that bumper cam knocked off. We got that 28 car just putting a lot of pressure on Mike.
That's Johnny Sauter in the 28. Here is Scott Wimmer in the 29, going beneath Dave Blaney. That is for 15th position, and also making a move, the 41 car trying to come along. That is the effort of Sorensen, Reed Sorensen.
Take a look at the 75. Brad Teague in the bottom. He is really having a struggle trying to get that car out of the way. It's not running the way it needs to be, and he's been getting hit in the back. He's been getting sideswiped. Take a look at that. They're roughing him up big time. He's just kind of like in the way, and he can't get out of the way.
That's just one of the problems with racing at Bristol. If your car's just a few tenths off, you're in the way. I mean, you can't, there's no place to hide at this racetrack. It's too narrow, it's too short, there's nowhere to go. These guys, one groove racetrack, and he's in it. He's in the groove they want.
Well, you think it's getting worse now. He's getting black flag because he didn't enter the pits the right way. So he's getting almost got turned in the front straightaway. He's probably going to like getting black flag, get off this track for a while.
Yeah, at least he can take a breath.
Yeah, that is Caleb Holman, by the way, and the black flag again was for exiting the pits incorrectly under the yellow. He needed to come all the way around and exit back in turn 1, and now he is being hammered by cars going by and already has some right front fender damage.
And I've got to make a correction. Holman in the 75 car. I'm used to Brad Teague driving that car for a long time, Andy.
Yeah, Brad Teague drove that car many years.
And now the black flag with the white cross is being shown to the 75.
And that means they're going to quit scoring this car. A black flag means to come in the pits, and when they put the black flag with the cross on it, means we're not scoring anymore. You can run all you want, but you're not getting any credit for it.
Well, he's got the right front fender tore off the car, and it's got no aerodynamic downforce. The car's probably pushing really bad in the center of the corner, which makes it where he can hardly control the car.
Here's the 8 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. making only his 2nd start of the year in the NASCAR Busch Series. Behind him is Casey Kane, as they are running in 12th and 13th positions.
Already these guys are having to deal with lap traffic.
And a record for 3 and 4. Car on the bottom, cars up high, backing down, cars up high, cars up high. Caution is out, so come on around here.
That was the 14 car of Kyle Krisilov that spun around. And a couple of cars having to jump on the binders, including Stephen Wallace in the 66.
Steven's got not much.
left front fender.
We have to get the left front fender up off the top of the 66 car. He got into the 14 car Krisloff trying to pass him on the outside. And if they don't get that fender off that tire, they need to spend the time now and get that clearanced. The car's in perfect shape. Right side looks good. Enough aerodynamics that they can still run in the top 10.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to get a big hammer out and hammer that fender out so it'll clear. You get a ton of wheel travel here, so they're going to have to get that thing clear.
And there's the rear damage to Kyle Krisloff's Clabber Girl baking powder machine. Let's see if we can see again what happened to Kyle riding on board with Kevin Harvick.
Looked like he just lost it and slid up into Stephen Wallace, who was trying to pass him on the outside.
Looking back at turn 4, there he goes around. Stephen tries to go to the high side to get by him, and up comes Krisloff.
Yeah, it's just a bad luck right there. He just almost made it, but there's a lot of dirty part of the racetrack after rubber, oil dry, stuff like that. It's really slick on the top of that track, so he stayed out of that.
All right, 58 of 300 laps are in the books. Carl Edwards is our leader. You're watching ESPN on ABC. NASCAR Series points leader Carl Edwards running for the championship here in 2007 just happens to be the man everyone is chasing here at Bristol right now. After starting in third spot, he is our leader, has led for 29 laps. There's a look at the guys chasing him up front. Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, and Greg Biffle. And let's check in and chat with our in-race reporter, Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
Go ahead, Rusty.
Have you been able to take a look at your car and see how it's handling right now? Have you got enough laps under your belt to see what you need to fix on it?
Unfortunately, we just pitted under this caution here. We put on 4 tires and lowered the track bar a little bit. We were just a little too loose to race really hard, and so hopefully we're full of fuel, 4 tires, track bar down a little bit.
All right, man, keep the fenders on it.
That's what we're trying to do here. It's been a little tough here at the first part of this race, but everything looks good right now.
Hey, Steve Barkdahl, Andy Petrie in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, 10-4, Andy. Go ahead.
Wow, you've been busy up there. What are you guys trying to do? What are you doing to try to keep him out of trouble?
You know, Andy, I don't know. I just told him I like it at Daytona better than here because stuff happens all over the track. But we're just trying to keep the fenders on, like Rusty said, and keep the radiator in and finish this day good.
10-4, so far so good, man. Doing a good job up there.
Thank you, Andy.
Steve Barkdahl, some 20 stories high above the racetrack. Got to wonder if these spotters don't hyperventilate here, talking so much, trying to keep their drivers out of trouble. Well, how about some radio communications that involves Carl Edwards and his crew?
It's not rocket fast there in the middle. At 10-4, the only thing I was thinking there was maybe half a pound on the left side, and for the off, maybe a little bit of wedge in it or something in the left rear. It's fine off. I don't want to put any wedge in it. I need it to turn better in the center is the biggest thing I need. I just want to make sure that we don't get it turning better in the center and then get it too free off, you know? Yeah, it's not as bad as a Cup car, you know what I mean, with all the power. It's not that bad. This need,
There's Jack Roush, and you see PK there. You heard him talking to Carl Edwards a moment ago. For more information, you can log on to ESPN.com. Search word communications if you enjoy that radio chatter between crew chief, spotter, and driver. Getting set for the restart here. Carl Edwards trying to hold off a hungry Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, and company.
Green, green, green. Clear all around, clear all around.
About a car length separation there among the top 3 drivers. Now 4 car lengths as Carl Edwards pulls away. That 56 car, that one going by right there, that is last year's Rookie of the Year, Danny O'Quinn, by the way, making his first start. And here back in the pack, you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the A car going on the inside of the car he owns. That's the 88 of Shane Huffman.
See a little contact with the 34 and the 33 of Kevin Harvick.
Well, Shane Huffman, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he wants to race him. He wants to beat him, but he knows it's his own car and he doesn't want to tear it up. So he's probably being a little kinder to Huffman than he would anybody else.
With more on Shane Huffman, here's Jamie.
Well, guys, Shane Huffman in the 88 car. It's actually owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's 2 cars behind him. So I asked Shane, so what's it like out there racing against your boss? He said, you know what? This weekend, I want to beat him. And by the way, it's much better having Junior in a car behind me. He's preoccupied, and he's not on the radio yelling at me during the race.
Well, Shane Huffman right now holding on to 10th position. That is the 29 car of Scott Wimmer behind him in 11th. Earnhardt Jr. is back in 12th. As you watch these battles here, this is the 20 car. Great action. That is Eric Almirola, the Daytona pole sitter, and Mike Wallace trying to move into the underside of him.
Mike Wallace, one of the first cars in line that has new tires, so it's working for him here on these guys that didn't change tires.
You know, Casey Kane's on a move right now, guys. He started in the back after that pit road problem he had trying to made an unscheduled pit stop early, but now he's been flying from the back to the field. That number 9 auto pumper car of Ray Everham's is looking good right now. I mean, the car is glued to the bottom of the track. It really looks in control at the moment. Dave, can you add?
Absolutely, Rusty. They had to pit because the temperatures in the 9 car were too high. He had some damage on the grill. The engine was overheating. They took some tape off the grill, but then he was too fast exiting. They had to go to the tail end of the longest line on the restart and lost another 8 positions. Restarted 31st.
I heard him say take tape off the grill. I can't believe there's tape on the grill. This is what I call a no-tape race. There's just no air to stirring around in here in this little bull ring. Me and Ray used to talk about it all the time. This was a no-tape race. We never put any tape on the grill.
Well, Andy, I think you were telling me earlier, you talked to Ray Everham about that. He's sitting in our booth right now. A little bit, we'll get him on the horn and see what he's got to say about that. But overheating in Bristol now, if you get a lot of rubber on the track, on the grill, that can happen. But to start the race with tape and overheat, kind of asking for your own problem, aren't you?
All right, a moment ago, Juan Pablo Montoya just got a bit of a tap from behind by Johnny Sauter. Montoya doing a heck of a job to hang on.
Well, I'll tell you what, these guys, ooh, that was a hard tap. And while we were watching that, Jerry, the leader is flying around the racetrack, Carl Edwards. Those guys are in the back of the pack. They better get in gear or else they're going to get lapped.
And that's where the impatience comes. And that leader starts catching these guys at the back of the pack. These guys say, I got to go, I got to go.
Well, the good news at Bristol on a high-banked half-mile oval is you're the leader. The bad news is you're the first guy to catch lap traffic.
Yeah, you got to deal with this lap traffic. And, you know, this lap traffic is going to give the leader a fit. Once the second, third, fourth place guys get there, these guys kind of move over and get out of the way. But they don't really move out of the way that good for the leader.
Here again, Stephen Wallace, the 66 car. Casey Kane in the 9. As they are making their way up through traffic, they have now shown in 26th and 27th position. And there, Carl Edwards now trying to get by Eric Almirola, now trying to work his way through lap traffic.
Yeah, and Carl has just been carving himself through there. Eric Almirola probably makes the wise choice moving out of the way right now, but it's amazing how fast he has carved himself from the front of this pack all the way around to start lapping these cars already. We talked about earlier. Boy, at 16-second laps on a 5.5-mile racetrack, 5.33 to be exact, it doesn't take long.
Anxious moment here just a moment ago for the 99 car. David slid up across the racetrack over in turns 1 and 2. His Toyota, watch a little bit of a chain reaction. His car just gets up and gets a little out of shape.
One common thread here is that 28 car, Johnny Sauter. That's the second car he's moved out of the way.
Yes, he got a bumper put right to him, knocked him sideways, and that's something pretty well happens at Bristol here all the time. Let's take a look at this onboard. Oh yeah, a good shot right in the rear end.
Inside, coming inside.
Only 84 laps. 84 laps in this race, guys, and they're already rooting and gouging and beating on each other like crazy out there.
And Johnny Sauter's not making any friends out there right now.
Carl Edwards now trying to stuck in the thick of lap traffic, trying to work his way past Bobby Hamilton Jr., Stephen Light and company. There is the 60 car, and he's right on the bumper of the 90 car of Stephen Light, and he has to get in the brakes, keep from running over it.
There's that impatience we're talking about. These guys see that leader in the mirror and they got to go, and so they just start, the patience runs out. They just start running into these guys and moving them.
They just don't want to go a lap down, and Carl's flying through the field. I'll tell you what, he's putting a bumper to a lot of guys. He's impatient himself. He's got Newman right behind him, a couple car lengths back. Just about the time he gets up there to him, Newman gets on his bumper. And that makes Carl impatient. So nobody's in a mood to slow down right now, and the guys are about ready to get lapped. You can tell they're on the wheel driving hard. Casey King got held up a little bit. He's back there with Regan Smith trying to get that thing going right now to get past him.
He's just trying to stay on the lead lap himself.
Well, we have had just 2 leaders here this afternoon. The first 32 laps led by Stephen Wallace, and now the last 57 by Carl Edwards. Now as the 5 car of Kyle Busch able to slide by Ryan Newman on that lap and take the 2nd place away. Well, can Kyle Busch move in now and go to work on Carl Edwards? Can he make the pass? We'll find out when we come back to Bristol Motor Speedway in a moment.
Welcome everybody back to the Bristol Motor Speedway as we look again at the race highlights in our Holiday Inn race rundown. 6 cars have been knocked out. John Wood, who lost 1 car attempting to qualify, lost car number 2. Brad Keselowski also is one of our 6 drivers who has been knocked out. Interestingly enough, Jason Leffler, who has been involved in 2 of the accidents, is still on the lead lap, running in the top 20. Carl Edwards, who has been our leader, watch him move past young Steve Wallace. Daylight, and he goes for it. And Edwards has been running on top ever since. Steven, meanwhile, gets involved in a fender bender, takes to the pits, and our pole sitter slips all the way to 25th. We've had 38 laps under yellow here so far today, but we've had our longest stretch of green going on right now, and Juan Pablo Montoya has been staying out of trouble so far today. And again, Carl Edwards, number 60, Brad Doherty, he's doing a heck of a job out there right now. He's a series leader.
He's doing a great job. And I want to ask Ray Abraham, Andy Petrie was talking a little while ago about the tape, a no tape race. Don't you need that tape for downforce, or is it more important to keep that nose clean with a lot of air?
Well, it's important to keep the nose clean. I think Andy's talking about back in Andy and I's day, you know, those Model A grills, we didn't need a lot of tape. But no, they have come so far with the cooling on these cars that we're taking less and less air in. And what actually happened to Casey when he got in the back of the 38, it laid the grill back, and it reduced the opening, so they had to come in and open it back up.
And Jerry, it looks like Kyle Busch is taking a peek here on Edwards.
Indeed, and Carl Edwards got caught behind the lap trying to get by the 7 of Mike Wallace, and guess what? Kyle Busch goes around on the high side and takes the lead here, lap 103. And Rusty, Carl Edwards is 60, trying to tiptoe and be very careful behind Mike Wallace.
Well, Carl Edwards is being good behind Mike. Now, Mike knows he's got to stay in the bottom of the track because he doesn't want to get lapped. He's fighting for that spot right now. Now he's got past, and now he's fighting for the lucky dog at the moment. He's hoping for a caution to be able to get back in the game.
I'm still impressed with that 5 car, able to do that on the outside of the racetrack, because there's really hardly a groove out there. And for him to make that pass, even though it was a slow car on the bottom, it's still pretty impressive.
I'll tell you what I'm amazed about. They've been running into each other every lap out there, and somehow they're holding in control of these cars. The fenders are beat up on these cars. The quarter panels are knocked in on them. It's got pretty rugged, and it got rugged because these guys are about to go a lap down.
Juan Pablo Montoya, the 42 car, the winner in Mexico City, is passed by our leader. And that puts now 22 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch, our new leader, as we check in with Shannon.
That's right, Kyle Busch started 7th today. He is currently running first. He told his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, that the right rear tire wants to skate. He's been dealing with the loose car all day today and during qualifying.
All right, as Kyle Busch now tries to work his way by Todd Cleaver in the 16. Cleaver is the last car right now on the lead lap in 22nd position. But the 17 car is one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. That is Matt Kenseth, who started back in 11th.
Yeah, I've been watching his lap times. He has been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
Here, back it down. Stay low.
And our leader goes around.
Roll. We're fine. Roll. Outside.
And that will bring out caution for the 5th time. Kyle Busch was just trying to make a move by Todd Cleaver.
I got the 16. Just take care of it.
Now, just getting ready to...
Calm down. Let's get back where we're supposed to be.
Just getting ready to say, these leaders having to fight this lap traffic is the reason that some of these guys are able to catch the leaders. And, you know, these guys are not giving the leader a break at all.
Well, they're trying to hold their ground. They don't want to get lapped because we talked earlier on our show, track position's nuts. Let's take a look at a replay here.
Kyle Busch goes in, and the car just starts to get out of shape there as he tries to go beneath the 21 car.
Yeah, I can't really blame that on Cleaver. It looks like Kyle got in there, got sideways, and when he got loose, he got to get out of the throttle, and he got run in from behind.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to maybe be able to save it, but then he gets just a little nudge from the 16 car.
As you see,
Kyle Busch around.
Yeah, his left front tire got on the apron. It looks like it knocked him sideways. You can get on the apron here. On exit, a little bit, but on entry, right in the center, that's what turned him around right there.
Now, as a crew chief, Andy, you see that replay. What do you tell your driver? Because right now he's fuming that he may have gotten tapped from behind.
I just say, hey, cool it right here. We're probably going to make a pit stop. Right here, they come down pit road. We're going to put some tires on this thing. Everything's going to be cool. It's going to play out just right.
Remember, they have to come down at 30 miles per hour, and they have to come all the way in off of turn 2 and all the way around to the front stretch. Let's check in with Mike Massaro.
Bobby Labonte saying his car's just a tick free. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment. 4-tire change for Bobby Labonte. Nothing serious. Dave.
4-tire change for leader Carl Edwards. His car was difficult to turn right in the center of the corner. They will change those 4 tires, make an air pressure adjustment to the left side tires, and make a chassis adjustment as well to make it turn better through the center. Shannon.
Kyle Busch is a little bit loose, only on entry. He's going to have an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel.
And the number 2 of Clint Boyer coming in right now. He's tight up off. He started 5th. Actually, he started 4th. He was running 5th coming in. Pretty happy with the car. Guys, first time he came to this track, he said it reminded him of that movie Gladiator. Doc?
All right. These guys on pit road trying to get their tires changed. And remember, you got to come all the way off at 30 miles an hour. And Carl Edwards making a change. Said it's hard to get the car to turn in the center of the corner. They wanted to make a chassis adjustment and a left side air pressure adjustment. How do you help that car?
Well, to drop the air pressure in the left sides helps the car turn a little bit. And these guys would rather make these adjustments with tire pressure because it doesn't take any of that time on pit road to make those kind of changes. They can change that ahead of time before the car gets there. These wedge adjustments, on the other hand, take just a little extra time from a crew member to stick a wrench in one of the holes in the window and turn it. And so that's why they opt to make these air pressure changes as much as possible.
You know, that's always a change I like, because if I'm tight, I like to take the air out of those left side tires and get the whole left side of that car back down in the racetrack, get it running lower so it grips more, and also you got more stagger. Basically, you lower the air pressure, it makes the car think it's got more stagger. Stagger meaning the difference in the right rear sides of the tire versus left rear. It makes it turn better from the center of the corner. The car doesn't slide around the front end. Pretty good change.
Absolutely. The big winner in those pit stops, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who gained 4 spots. Great effort by Tony Uri and company. They're all chasing Kyle Busch, who's been a major factor here early on. Well, welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. We are back under caution. We attempted to restart just a moment ago, and we'll show you what happened. It didn't take long till we were pushing and shoving here on the high banks all over again. Here's the restart. Casey Kane, who did not pit, stayed out on those used tires. His car slips high. Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch and company go underneath him and go sailing down the backstretch. Now, as they come out of turn 4, there's going to be some pushing and shoving. Oh, the 77 car just gets sideways, gets a little bit of a nudge. That's Bobby Labonte.
Bobby Labonte's coming down the straightaway dead sideways. They start piling up behind him like crazy. Almost 10 cars are involved in this thing. It was melee. That's a chain reaction.
Back it down, back it down, back it down.
Dave Blaney, Johnny Sauter. That's the 10 car of Dave Blaney you were riding on board there with. Once again, Johnny Sauter to 28 in the back of Jason Leffler.
That's a good illustration of the accordion effect. You see how one car just starts stacking them all up and not enough reaction time.
And there's just no room for anybody to go. The whole racetrack's blocked. The 16 car drives under the back of the 66. 66 cars and 88 is Shane Huffman.
Spotters can't even help you with this kind of thing.
Once you're in smoke like that and everybody's checked up, it's just
you see how
forget
fast it
about
happens. It was was just bam,
There's
bam, bam.
nothing going on. The whole entire racetrack's blocked. That's the problem.
So a dozen cars involved. 6 cars have damage as a result of this 6th caution flag of the afternoon. And our pole sitter, Stephen Wallace, has climbed out of the Home Life Communities Dodge as they'll try to make repairs. We'll talk to Stephen when we come back. We are under yellow once again on the high banks at Bristol, Tennessee. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Well, folks, I want to remind you that we've got racing action later tonight on ESPN2. IndyCar starts its season in Homestead at 8 Eastern. They move to prime time. Danny Weldon, the winner of the last 2 Homestead races, he grabbed the pole. And last year's IndyCar champion, Sam Hornish Jr. is in the number 2 spot. The Ethanol IndyCar 300 presented by XM at Miami on ESPN2 tonight at 8 Eastern. I'm in here with Ray Evernham and Brad Doherty. And Ray, I want to ask you about Casey Kane. He had to take a pit stop earlier. You left him out, or at least your crew did out there. He's in the 5th spot. What's the overall pit strategy for the team here today?
We looked pretty smart there for a minute, didn't we, until that restart? But you know, the car was overheating because of earlier damage from getting back a 38 car, so it looked like they had to pit it. They've got a couple sets of tires to play with, and we're going to get back on our strategy, I think, pitting around 60 to 70, and then again at 160 to 170. Some of these guys might try and go all the way from here if there's enough cautions.
Now, how about the frustration that's building up with some of these drivers? Will that be a factor here as we finish this race?
Well, that's why it was good to be up front and not in the back, because as you can see, there were 3 or 4 cars that were caught up in something that had nothing to do with them. So as the race goes on, the frustration will continue to build, and hopefully they won't get another timeout.
Well, they're still under caution, by the way, Brad. Congratulations to North Carolina, lad.
Absolutely.
All right,
march on.
Let's check in with Jamie Little. And Jamie, I'm sorry about your running Rebs were knocked out by Oregon last night.
I know, I heard about it, but we've moved on. I forgot about it, all right, Brent? Unfortunately, though, for Stephen Wallace today, the high and the low, the high being your first pole. You led your first laps this year, Stephen. You were caught up there in a few different incidents, actually. Take us through your day and what finally brought you back here.
Yeah, the first incident was all my fault. I was just being real impatient, ran over lap cars, my fault. Hate that I did that. It got us a good shot of running good today, and then it put us in the back with all the rough driving cars. So, but I hate it for letting Life Communities Dodge. You know, I really feel like today was my time to shine. I just let it all blow up right in front of my face. So we'll go to Nashville and just go as hard as we can go. You know, I really run good there. So we'll see what goes on there. But it's just big disappointment. I let myself down, the whole team down. So we'll get them next week though. Be all right.
All right, 19-year-old Stephen Wallace is out of the race, guys.
All right, thank you, Jamie. He was impressive, leading the first 32 laps here this afternoon. There have been 6 lead changes among 5 different drivers. Carl Edwards now has led 81 laps as the green flag waves again here at Bristol. Well, guys, that 5 car for Kyle Busch. He has got one quick race car. He was able to make the pass before on the outside when Carl Edwards got locked in behind some traffic, and now a little bit of a slippage there on the 5 car.
Now, Jerry, he's loose. He gets in the corner at rear and kicks out from underneath it. Kind of what we saw earlier with him when he got basically spun over there because of that condition. But, you know, I've been watching these restarts. You know, you can be like in a 7th position on the outside, running 7th. But, Andy, it's kind of like you're really starting the race in 14th. Because you're side by side, you can't get around these lap cars, and they get all boggled up. And take a look at this run.
You can't even run the groove you want to run till you get by these lap cars. These lap cars are in the groove they want. They want to be in the bottom part of the racetrack, and you see these lap cars are occupying that lane, so they got to get clear of these guys before they can get down in that groove where they can run. And here comes Kyle Busch. Man, this car's been a rocket here of the late, and you know, he likes driving a car loose. We see that week in and week out. The car was sideways 2 laps ago, and here he takes the lead.
Well, somehow he's got forward bite still. He's still got the thing biting up off the corner going straight. You can't pass cars unless you have forward bite. Now, I've seen guys before get in the middle of 1 and 2 or 3 and 4 and slide a little bit, and that's okay as long as you're not sliding when you exit the corner.
As long as you can hook up those rear tires off, you'll be okay.
Kyle Busch makes it now 7 lead changes as he goes back in front, and we talked a little bit about Kyle Busch's frustrations this year. We mentioned coming into this race, he had led more laps than any other driver in the NASCAR Busch Series. He had led 297 laps. How about Atlanta a week ago? Well, you know, where he led 5 times for 143 laps. And we talked to Kyle Busch and asked him about the frustrations he has felt thus far this year.
What are you going to do? You know, you can't change what happened. So I've just kind of gone on and learned that and grown up a little bit and just thought about things in general and, you know, what's it going to do to yell and scream and pout and throw everything against the wall and, you know, kick your door in. It's, you know, nothing.
Boy, showing a lot of maturity there. I know he's come a long way in a couple of years, but I mean, Rusty, you know, he had the best car. Trouble as Kyle Busch is our leader, but we have an incident over in turn 2 involving the 88 car of Shane Huffman.
Well, I think this one here has probably finally knocked him out. He's been in a couple of accidents not of his own doing, but this one here was a hard hit, and looks like it's knocked the radiator out of it. And 38 car Jason Lovelaar is involved in this one, so we'll have to go back to our replay here and see what's caused this one. But Shane really had the car beat up from the first accident. I don't know if maybe a tire got cut down or got hit. We'll just have to wait and see.
All the fluid's running out of the radiator on the racetrack. This one will do him in for a little while. They may be able to get a radiator back in it and get him back out there, but well, he's been roughed up a little bit today.
Well, these guys are going for the points. You know, you got to be in the top 30 to be locked in all these races. These guys want to be in the top 30 point standings, so you have to qualify for every single race in case something goes wrong. And so I know that's on a lot of these young guys' minds and some of the single car Busch teams that don't want to get out of that deal.
Shane Huffman involved in an incident, bringing out caution number 7 on the day. As he is up against the wall, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, and Clint Boyer are the top 5 after 137 laps. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Kyle Busch has led the most laps this season. He doesn't have a trophy to show for it yet.
I just don't know what to do to try to win one of these races.
Gotta be that cable.
How is Kyle communicating without the radio?
Kyle Busch coming within just an eyelash of picking up 2 wins. Our NASCAR Busch Series at Bristol Motor Speedway. As we got up to date with our NASCAR.com reset. Keys to the race, you got to keep the fenders on the car. You got to keep the car on the bottom of the racetrack, and that tricky pit road at 30 miles per hour can reach out and bite even the most veteran of competitors. And as you saw, Kyle Busch came within 400 feet of picking up a win in Las Vegas after leading 81 laps. He came within a lug nut of winning at Atlanta after leading 143 laps. And now that's how many laps this young man has led this year. And he may just be closing in on his first win of the season. Here's how Kyle Busch's day has gone here today. Sailing by on the outside of Carl Edwards to take the lead. He's leading and passing through lap traffic, and suddenly the car gets out of shape. He loops it around and brings out the caution flag. And guess what? The green comes back out, and the 5 car goes back around the 60 of Carl Edwards. And so now Kyle Busch has led twice for a total of 17 laps here today at Bristol.
He's going to have to get going here, though, because he's got Matt Kenseth. His car was really good in that last green flag run. I know he wants to scoot out there on him.
Well, let's talk to our in-race reporter, Mike Wallace, who's back on the lead lap in 18th position.
Mike Wallace, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us.
Rusty, I got you. Go ahead.
Man, I'll tell you, that looked like a dogfight out there to keep on the lead lap. It looks like you kept yourself in the lead lap right now. Can you tell at all how that car's handling for you?
Yeah, you know, my car had been loose, and we just didn't make a big enough adjustment the first time. This last few laps of green, it was a lot better. We just kind of chose right now to top off and try to stay out and go to the end here.
All right, again, it's like I told you before, to keep the fenders on it. We'll be talking to you again.
Good, thank you.
Boy, Mike Wallace dodged some trouble, was able to get back on a lead lap, and you can be in trouble in the next moment. You can be back on a lead lap and in contention. That's happened to you. I know a couple of times when you've won this race, you've been able to get back on a lead lap by not only driving the car hard, but being there when the yellow comes out.
Well, you could see that was some of the fastest laps of the race. These guys are driving their brains out to try to keep them getting lapped, and a lot of wrecks were happening because of it. But Andy, it looks like Mike's going to, he said he just pitted. He's going to top it off for field. Do you actually think you could stay out for 150 laps on old tires and be competitive?
Well, they got fresh tires on now, and there's 143 laps to go. These guys can make it that far on fuel. No, I'm sorry, we're at 143 laps. We got 157 laps to go. That's going to be right there on the edge of making it all the way. But some of these guys are going to try that because track position being so important with these cautions coming every 15 or 20 laps. If you keep your car up front, it'll keep it out of trouble.
All right, one guy we need to keep an eye on. We haven't said much about him today, but he won the race here last August. In fact, he won the Busch and the Cup Series race here last August. Dave Burns, and that's Matt Kenseth.
Always feels good at Bristol, and here's how he's feeling about his race car right now.
I hit him hard, but I'm just trying not to. I'm trying to lift, a car like a half earlier than I want to. Just trying to coast in there right now. I tried putting some rear back in it, but I can't even touch the pedal and it swings sideways, so I had to put it back where it was.
And what he's describing is how he can change the, let's call the percentage of the brake to the front of the rear in the car. He also mentioned that he was using his brakes up on that last run, trying to stay with Kyle Busch in the 5 car when they were running together. So something that Matt's taking care of, the brakes, making some adjustments to make his car turn a little better or not quite so good by changing that percentage of that bias.
If you got too much rear brake in the car, like we heard Matt say, you touch that brake pedal and it's just like putting on an emergency brake or something, just slides the rear wheels, makes the car kind of get loose and get out from under you. So I'm sure he's adjusting on his bias. That's a knob he has inside the car where he can adjust the brake balance front to rear. I'm sure he's working on that now, and he'll get that balanced out a little better. And now that they're in somewhat clear track, if they can get out here and run without having the lap traffic, they won't have to use the brake quite as much, and he can just kind of lay off that brake pedal.
All right, we are under caution here for the 7th time a day. And Kyle Busch leads Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, and Clint Boyer. By the way, Dale Earnhardt Jr. now all the way up to 6th spot, the green, when we come back.
Right now, Tennessee Blue.
Well, the NBA on ABC continues Sunday afternoon as the Phoenix Suns, anchored by Steve Nash, face Mike Bibby and the Sacramento Kings. NBA Sunday presented by Hertz, also available in high definition on ABC HD. Call your cable operator or satellite provider today. Coverage begins, by the way, at 3 Eastern Time, noon Pacific, with GMC Countdown. Great NBA action coming up on ABC on Sunday afternoon. And here are the biggest movers that have made their way toward the front. And Todd Cleaver up 18 spots. Danny O'Quinn, reigning Rookie of the Year, making his very first start of the year. Up 16 spots. Juan Pablo Montoya, after being punted on, back up to 17th position. Reed Sorensen, good run for Reed, the Georgia native. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is now creeping toward the top 5. He is in 6th position. And with more on Little E, let's check in with Mike.
Well, Doc, under caution, it's normal for the temperatures to go up, but perhaps not as high as they've been in the 8 car. 260 degrees is the temperature of the water right now. The water pressure gauge, according to Dale Earnhardt Jr., pegged out. I was able to have a conversation with team engineer Dave Charpentier. I asked him exactly how much of a concern is that. He just smiled and said, "We'll be all right." He told Dale Jr. to turn on the fan, and that brought the temperature down to about 248. But then again, Doc, we still have about a half a race to go.
Okay, you see the damage on the hood of the 8 car. It knocks that grill down and it just kind of closes that opening up for the radiator. That's why we say this is a no-tape race, because if he didn't have that tape on that bottom grill opening, he'd have another available opening for that air to get in there. And aerodynamics not being as big a factor on a short track as it is on bigger tracks, you can afford to open that grill up just a little bit more. So these guys may be sorry they didn't have that little opening on that bottom.
Now, in the car of tomorrow, which will make its debut here in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series tomorrow here at Bristol, all of the air comes from beneath the front of the car, so you really don't have a grill opening to mash in. Would he have that problem if he were in the car of tomorrow?
It's definitely going to be different, and I'll be watching the race tomorrow just to see how that works, because you know those cars tomorrow, when I say that, I don't mean no pun intended, but the cars racing in that race tomorrow, we'll be seeing how that affects each other when they bang into each other, and we'll try to see how that affects the front end of the car. Be interesting to see.
All right, we will get the halfway point next time by. 150 laps of 300 will be in the books here at Bristol Motor Speedway. It is NASCAR short track racing Busch Series style. Hot tempers and hard bumpers. That's what Bristol is all about. And a great crowd on hand, over 100,000 on hand for the NASCAR Busch Series. And by the way, here on Sunday, they will have their 50th consecutive sellout. How good is that? Over 160,000 fans on hand here at Thunder Valley to watch the most exciting motorsports series in the world. Great stock car racing, NASCAR style, and the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series.
Jerry, we were talking about Matt Kenseth a little while ago having brake problems. Andy, I've been looking at a lot of the cars, and we used to run brake ducts in front of these cars to get more cooling to the brakes. I see the fast cars, not many of them have brake ducts in the front. Looks like they're trying to get all the aerodynamics. How are they cooling those brakes that good?
Well, they have a fan in there with just drawing a little bit of air, blowing some on there, but the brake systems today are so much better than they were, say, 5 or 6 years ago. They keep making the calipers and the rotors and all that way more efficient. So the brake, they're still using a lot of brakes, and they have to put a little bit of air on them, but not near as much as we used to.
Yeah. You take a look at Matt Kenseth's progression. Matt Kenseth, by the way, one of 6 drivers in this race today who have won here. Kenseth has won here at Bristol 3 times. The only driver in the field who's won more is Kevin Harvick.
See the cars lining back up right now, getting ready for the restart. This is one of the most tense moments for the guys on the outside lane. The outside lane's pretty slow. The bottom lane's faster. So the lap cars are down there, and those guys on top are getting frustrated. Here we go.
Ace car peels off, and here comes Kyle Busch.
Green flag.
And Kyle Busch has got that clean air, and that's just what he needs right now. All that downforce to the front of the car. At this racetrack, if you can get that clean air, meaning get out front so your nose of your car gets all the downforce, that baby will flat fly at a racetrack, and it'll handle much better than when you see yourself getting caught back in traffic.
And these guys cleared that lap traffic real quick, and that's a big advantage. They can use the bottom of the racetrack. They'll have a few laps before they catch the tail end of the field to work just in clean air, like you said, Rusty, and not having to deal with lap traffic at all.
And watching Clint Boyer in the number 2 car. He has really been solid throughout the day. That car looks like it's been driving good. Remember, that car's run up front here at this racetrack many times in the past. And Clint's been holding a really good low line around this racetrack. Car looks like it's in control. You just see him racing right now behind Regan Smith.
That's the key we were talking about, is getting by this lap traffic so you get going. Clint Boyer in the 2 car is stuck behind Regan Smith in the 4, and he's just not able to get by him yet because Regan is occupying that lane he wants.
The only good thing about where Clint Boyer is at right now, he's far enough ahead, or he's not that far behind the leader right now. Looks like about 20 car lengths.
Clint Boyer's just going to be patient as he can here, but he'll end up moving this 4 car if he doesn't give him the lane.
This is one of the Richard Childress cars, and Andy, just as you said, he's going to move him. Exactly, it happens, and that will bring out.
Yeah, I thought that was about as far as the patience we're going to take it.
And you made the call, Andy, and I think he heard you.
Jerry, when you're
Come right down into me.
That's the best way in the world to get wrecked, is hold up a fast car.
Regan says he ran into me.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, though. You go in, you diamond that corner, you open that bottom lane and let that guy get underneath you. He goes back and watches replay, he'll see what happened. But it's a 2-way street. I guess Clint could have got out of the throttle a little bit, but he saw the window open up and he stuck that nose in there and went for it.
Clint Boyer saw those leaders getting away, and just patience ran out.
All right, we are under yellow now for the 8th time this afternoon. Contact between the 4 of Regan Smith, as we will head back with a green flag in just a moment. Back at Bristol under caution for the 8th time this afternoon. How do you keep these cars cool? Let's check in with Tim Brewer, our crew chief, down with a cutaway car.
Thanks, Jerry. What we're going to do is clarify a little bit of statement just a moment ago. Ray's car in the 9 with Casey Kane, it got this panel crushed down through here, closed up this grill opening. What that did made the car run real hot. Wouldn't matter if there's any tape on there or not. But anyway, just closed the opening up. Dale Earnhardt's car, on the other hand, he had a temperature issue. He simply turned this mechanical fan on, which drew more air through the opening, cooled the engine down about 20 degrees. That'll enable him to get to the end of the race. Back up to the booth with you guys.
All right, Tim, thank you very much. That makes it easy to understand why these cars can run hot when you don't get air in, and also what Earnhardt Jr. is able to do, hopefully to get some cool air in there and hang on there. Earnhardt Jr., by the way, showing back in the 6th position. For more information, log on to ESPN.com, keyword Auto Tech.
That's a good presentation by Tim. You know, a lot of people don't know what the front of the radiators look like in these Busch cars and how it's all ducted, how the air is routed into the radiator. Really pretty easy to understand. If that opening gets shut down, there's no air going in there.
Kyle Busch now about a 3-car length separation between him and Carl Edwards. Matt Kenseth is back in 3rd spot, about 5-car lengths back. How about 2 guys that have dominated today? They have led 127 of 165 laps. We have had 7 lead changes among 5 drivers, and we've had 8 caution flags for 71 of the 163 laps we have had run here. 168 laps have been run under the caution. For more on Matt Kenseth, let's check in his pits. Dave?
And Doc, that is the car that won here last fall, and then it went to Charlotte in the hands of car. It hasn't raced anywhere since, and I think the repair job was pretty good. Matt, very happy with the way that old 17 is running today.
Matt Kenseth, as you said, won here last August, starting from the 4th position. He only led 17 laps here, and they were late in the race. Here's Reed Sorensen trying to look to the inside to take the position away from Mike Bliss.
A little bump and run.
That is for 9th spot. By the way, Mike Bliss having a great run in the 22 car, the Armando Fitz Family Dollar car. That is one of our cars carrying an onboard camera. Mike's had a good run, one of the top Busch Series regular teams, hanging most of the day in the top 10.
Yeah, he's had a good run all day. We've been kind of watching him. He's hanging right there in that top 10. He just lost that 1 spot to Reed Sorensen, but he's had a great race car all day.
Jamie Little.
Well, guys, Mike Bliss hanging tight there in the 10th position. He started 10th last pit stop. Afterwards, he said he was still pretty tight. They've had 1 pound in the right rear, but so far, good run in that 22 car that we normally see. David Stremian, we've seen about 3 or 4 different drivers in there this year, guys, but Mike Bliss making his first appearance in the Busch Series in the 22 car.
Well, you can really see, thank you, Jamie, you really see how rough these cars, looking back from the City Financial Ford onboard bumper cam on the 90 car, you can see how that car is just bouncing up and down on this concrete.
That's the biggest difference between the Busch cars and the car of tomorrow, is that the Busch car's got a lot more clearance. You get these front end shots, sometimes you see just how much clearance there is in the front on this air dam. Well, NASCAR's taking that car tomorrow and said, okay, it can't be but so high.
Right front fender.
And so they don't have the available travel to run these soft springs like they run in the Busch cars.
Well, you can see the racetrack's real rough. Let's not forget that after the race tomorrow, after the car tomorrow race is over, they're going to take Bristol Motor Speedway and jackhammer it up. They're going to completely rebuild this racetrack, a brand new design. So when these drivers come back, they're probably going to have a smoother racetrack to run on. And their goal is to get a 2nd lane where they can actually run 2 cars side by side at the same speed. Because right now at Bristol, it's really hard to pass. And that's the reason you get a lot of this bumping and banging going on and no patience, because the bottom lane is where you run here. I'm looking out the window now, guys. Do you see 1 car that's clean? I don't see 1 car out there that doesn't have some type of damage.
We've got a smoker on pit road. David Gilliland's car coming in smoking.
Get it into the garage area. Just pull it over by NASCAR, Hollis.
Tell you what that looks like. It looks like that car's run hot. That's what they look. Typical thing is when this car's run hot, run all the water out of them, then they start smoking out the exhaust pipes and then basically quit running. So I say he's lost the water and ran it hot, and now the motor's giving up.
And when that happens, it feels like the engine just starts seizing up. It gets slower and slower. Although it's running, it's not making near the power it needs to make. And the next thing you know, you see all the temperature gauges buried. A lot of stuff going on.
See Juan Pablo Montoya doing a little bumper action on the 20 car.
Yeah, the battle you're watching here, that's the 12 car that had just made a pass now for a 3rd position, Ryan Newman. has gone by Matt Kenseth. And now he will set his sights on Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch, who are in second and first. And David Rudiman spins it around his Toyota, tags off the inside pit wall.
Gonna need a radiator and stuff.
Okay, drive right into the trailers here. Right, come in turn 2, David. Park right there at the end.
They said they're going to need a radiator.
They've been struggling with that car.
Just jacked him up, turned him.
They've been struggling with that car all day long. He hasn't had the handle on that thing right.
And he's usually good at Bristol, and we haven't seen him up front at all today, so no, this is not what they wanted to see.
Talked about they need a radiator. I haven't seen any water coming out of that car yet. Looks like it's pretty dry. Let's take a look at this replay. Yeah, Bobby Labonte looks like he might have been trying to make a low line to get around the inside of him, and this gets into the 99 of Rudiman. Because I can tell you one thing I know about Bobby Labonte, he's not a rough driver. I know he didn't mean to do that on purpose.
Yeah, Jerry Baxter and his crew, the crew chief on this 99, are going to have to do a little work in the pits to get this car back out. It's like David Rudiman had his hand up.
On the front straightaway.
And you see the sign that they put on the dash there for David Rudiman, don't beat yourself. Basically, patience, taking your time, and basically, if you can stay out of trouble, you might get a good finish here at Bristol.
It looked like it might have been a little miscommunication, like he wanted to let Bobby Labonte go, kind of waved his hand, and Bobby just didn't know which lane to be in.
You could tell the Rudiman's car was not running up to speed off of turn 4 as good as he wants it to run. And Bobby was right on his tail. He's waving that hand just like he said, hey, go low. But I'm telling you what, just about the time you get your hand up and you start waving, he gets hit, and it's too late.
All right, here's the 28 car. They have held the Johnny Sauter car 2 laps. NASCAR is doing that for aggressive driving. And we are being told they warned him once, and then some of the contact on the racetrack prompted NASCAR to make a decision to bring him in and hold him 2 laps. And you cannot make up those laps. Once NASCAR holds you for a penalty, even if you are the lucky dog, you do not get those 2 laps back.
Yeah, those 2 laps he'll have to earn back on the racetrack because NASCAR won't give it back to him after they've penalized him for rough driving. And that car looked like he had a little bit of rough driving going on.
Well, one thing, see David Rudiman walking around upset trying to explain what happened to his car. One thing that NASCAR doesn't tolerate is rough driving. They know they're at Bristol. They know these guys are going to beat and bang. But for them to park somebody for 2 laps, I'll guarantee you that's got Robin Pemberton and Mike Helton and all the guys in the booth over there, NASCAR control, pretty upset. They must have done something to just trigger their brain to say, I've had enough.
The 30 car, Stanton Barrett's going to be our lucky dog on this caution.
Yeah, he gets the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass as he is the first driver 1 lap down. And there's a look at Stanton Barrett, who's had a pretty good history of good runs here at Bristol. His best short track finish in NASCAR came here at Bristol when he finished 8th back in 1998. So he will get back on the lead lap by virtue of this 9th caution flag of the afternoon.
There's only 18 cars on the lead lap, so that's going to be a good break for Stanton. He'll get up there and be able to contend for a better spot, maybe a top 15 finish.
See, I'm watching a couple cars out there running around with no front ends on their car whatsoever, just a radiator hanging out in the front. And boy, they've got to be real careful. If they bump into somebody, they're going to knock the radiator out and have a big problem.
I tell you what, we got 114 laps to go. We might see some of these guys come on pit road now and try to make their last pit stop.
With all these caution flags coming on pit road right now, getting 4 tires, to me is not a bad idea because, you know, they're just not running enough laps continuously to wear these things out.
Yeah, some of these guys are going to want to take this opportunity to make their last pit stop.
Well, let's see what kind of pit strategy they're thinking about in Carl Edwards' pits, Dave.
Jerry, they're thinking they wish they knew exactly what the 5 car was going to do ahead of them. That's part of the quandary that Carl Edwards is in. He would love to get the fresh tires. They're really sort of waiting to see what the 5 car will do. Behind him, his teammate Matt Kenseth wants tires as well, but he's also thinking, I might need to work on my brakes a little bit if we have time on pit road. But everyone can make it on fuel. It's the question of whether or not they want to give up track position to put on that fresh rubber. They'll be lightning fast to begin with.
All right, thank you, Dave. Andy, you called a lot of races here where you guys won Dale Earnhardt Sr. What would you do in this situation?
Well, he says he wants to know what the 5 car is going to do, but sometimes you just got to make your own decision and decide, hey, I'm going to run my race. It's 114 laps or 113 laps to go. I think I'm going to make my pit stop and get my tires and go. But looks like they don't do that right here, and they're just wanting to try to see what the 5 car is going to do before they make their decision.
Well, a couple have peeled off down pit road. The 12 car of Ryan Newman, the 2 of Clint Boyer. There you see them coming around at 30 miles an hour. The 22 of Mike Bliss.
It was a bit of a fake out. You saw
that the flag guy still has a red flag, and the lights are on right now. Outside? All right.
I saw the 60 car get ready to come down pit road in the last minute before he got to the commitment cone. He darted back out in the racetrack trying to fake out Ryan Newman, but Newman's already committed. He was coming down pit road for 4 tires. Guys, I think this is a good call.
But the guy still has it.
I think this is a good call on Newman.
And Dave, some confusion on the 60 car. Was it a fake or did they want him to come on?
They wanted him to come down pit road. Someone told him on the radio that the pits were open. Then when he got around to where the pit opening was, the red flag was still waving. Mike, have you got someone pitting in front of you?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. water temperature still hovering near 250 degrees. They took some tape off the grill and also a ½ pound out of both rear tires. 4 tire change for Jr.
Looks like there's some confusion of where the pit road was open the first time by.
It sure is, because the 12 car Ryan Newman, he came down pit road, so did Clint Boyer in the number 2 car. And if that happened, they've all been hung on pit road. Now you see Newman coming back down pit road as we're away here. He's coming back down pit road, unscheduled. So evidently that pit road was closed. It was still red.
Yeah, they're making Ryan Newman come back down the 42 of Montoya.
Did do the green flag. We were past it. And the pace car, sir.
As the Penske crew now having serviced the 12 car of Newman.
It's always confusing. This racetrack, the way the pit road procedure is, it's always confusing. And that comes up, that turn 2 comes up really quick on these guys, and that's where you have to look for that pit road open light and flag that they have down there. And some of these guys got confused on it.
Tony Urey there with his back to us. He is the crew chief and cousin to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Talking with a NASCAR official a moment ago, trying to get clarification on exactly what they have done and what they were able to do.
Looks like they still hadn't figured it out whether the pit road really was open.
Well, the 12 came back in for a loose lug nut. Watch that official top of your screen. He pointed as the car was exiting, saying, guys, you got one off. And you see the frustration there, and one of the Kodak crew members for the Ryan Newman team, so they got to bring him back in to put that left front lug nut back on.
What actually looks like they had a problem anyway, Jerry. They got hung on pit road. They came down pit road when that thing was red, evidently. So this really didn't kill them because they were going to have to come down anyway because of that loose lug nut. Definitely some confusion going on down there right now about what happened with that light, whether it was green or whether it was red. A lot of drivers think it might have changed as they were coming down pit road.
We got a free one. We can go back up and lead. You can bring them free one on NASCAR this time.
Well, you just heard the crews telling the drivers you've got a free one. They're going to let everyone come on to pit road and pit and go back into their positions because of this confusion that Tony Urey is discussing there with the NASCAR official.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I do not agree with this. I don't think that NASCAR should let everybody pit and line up back in your position. These guys had worked, they played their strategy right here, and now it's being taken away from them, so I don't agree with this at all.
Here comes a leader, Kyle Busch. Carl Edwards is headed to Dave.
Okay, he will get to make his pit stop now. They did the right thing, I guess, by staying out, and they will need to get an air pressure adjustment on his car. A little loose getting into the corner, a little tight across the center. Carl was upset that they got off sequence, and now, of course, they will be back in the pack behind the guys that already pitted. I wonder if the free pitting will mean they'll get any track position back, guys. Shannon.
The number 5 is going to come in and pit. They're saying they're a little loose at the start of their run. They're going to take a wedge adjustment, 4 tires, and they're going to check that right front fender. They think there may be a rub, so they're going to make sure that there's nothing going on there. Doc?
All right, so now they are allowing all these drivers to come back on and come back off as Kyle Busch has made an adjustment there. You see the crew, and they were worried. We heard him on the radio about 45 laps ago ask about the right front fender and asked the spotter, is something rubbing? I guess he was feeling something in the corners as the car began to move around a little bit.
Yeah, when he feels something, he's had a little contact on the track somewhere, and he's wondering if that tire was rubbing, and if it was, they need to get it cleared because got a tire down here in Bristol, you can hit the wall real hard.
Well, pit stops have taken place. We have just over 100 laps to go in the slugfest that is NASCAR Busch Series action at Bristol.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Busch Series on ABC. Brought to you by Nationwide is on your side.
Well, we are back at Bristol Motor Speedway under caution again, and there's been a little bit of confusion with regard to what happened here under this caution flag with regard to pit road. Now, with the clarification we have been given is that NASCAR was attempting to open pit road and notify the teams that were going to open pit road, but when they triggered the light to go from red to green, indicating pit road was open, the lights didn't trigger and change. And so as you watch the 12 car and see on the left side of your screen that red light is still blinking, that means pit road is closed, but they have told the teams that pit road is going to be open. Apparently the light did not switch over and trigger, and some of the guys came on the pit road. Now, some of the drivers were frustrated and said they saw the red flag waving and the red light, so they did not come in. Let's check in with Mike.
One of the guys who was trying to work things out with NASCAR was Tony Eury Jr. What'd they tell you?
Oh, they basically just said they reviewed it. You know, their lights screwed up. They give the command from upstairs to turn to open pit road, and the light didn't work. Well, you know, from our standpoint, I've already got busted one time this year, so I know how important the light is. But the bottom line is the light's either red or green down there, and that's what we have to go by. We can't take NASCAR into an appeals deal and say, well, the guy on my official said if pit road was open. We can't do that. The only thing we got to go by is that light and the flag. The light and the flag was red, so that's what we got to go by. And those guys should be in behind. We should be sitting third in line, you know. Ultimately, that might be your last pit stop, so it's really going to cost us. It's just unfortunate that you have a rule or something that would break something like that, and NASCAR doesn't do the right thing and just go by what the rules are, because that's pretty much all we got to go by is that light. And if we can't go by that light, what do we do?
Well, guys, Tony Eury Jr. estimates they lost maybe 5 positions because of that mistake. Brent?
One of our owners up here said he's never seen such a thing. I know you don't agree with this either, Ray.
You know, the rules are the rules. It's either red or green. So now we kind of reset the field, and if you had a bad pit stop, you could work on your car. It didn't matter. You could have a 20-second pit stop and keep your position. So
it's almost like they made up a rule as they went along.
Yeah, I just don't think you do that. I agree absolutely with Tony Eury Jr. I think a rule is a rule. Mistakes are a part of the game no matter what it is, but you have to always go by the rule. That's what dictates what happens.
And so, Jerry, that has touched off our controversy. And let's check in with Dave.
Hey, Brett, we're here with Pierre Cattell, crew chief for Carl Edwards in the 60 car. The court ruled in your favor this time. How confusing was that?
It was pretty confusing. NASCAR had a situation there, and they went ahead and rectified it, and they got it to the way it should be. So hats off to NASCAR for fixing that for us. Not for us, but for everybody.
I was going to say, if it wasn't you, would you have agreed with that call?
Well, I mean, the call was, you know, these guys came and told me the pits were open. They're waving the flag down there. Driver's not going to come on pit road when that flag's waving, so everybody did their job. NASCAR got the situation figured out. They did it right.
All right, let's go back upstairs to Jerry.
All right, thank you, Dave. Now let me ask our experts up here, Rusty Wallace, Andy Petrie. Okay, Rusty, first you. What do you think about what the decision that was made to allow everyone to come back in and pit and get back to your positions?
Well, let's back up before that, though. 2 things I saw. The light is red, but NASCAR radioed out and says the pits are open. So the spotters hear that. They holler down, the pits are open. Everybody goes through a radio, the pits are open. That's where the confusion happened. So then the drivers get around. Some see the red flag and the red light on. It's a melee. NASCAR said, enough. Let's reset this thing, get this back right. There was a mistake made.
Andy, your thoughts?
Well, I can appreciate NASCAR trying to fix a mistake that they made, but I just don't agree with letting cars come down pit road, spend all the time you want, do what you want to do to your car, and then we'll just line you back up the way you were. It's just not the way it works. And I understand Tony Eury Jr. being very frustrated because he was trying to play by the rules, and then he tried to gain an advantage, and that's what you're trying to do down there, trying to get your car an advantage, and he had one, and now NASCAR just took it away from him, and I understand why he's frustrated. I'd be frustrated too. I don't agree with it.
There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. They believe he right now is in 6th position with an overheating car, showing some water temperature at about 250, but they believe they should be about 3 or 4 spots further up. And the 17 car of Matt Kenseth, he also just cued the radio and told his guys, hey, we followed the rules. I didn't come in because it was red and the red flag was waving. He said, I didn't agree. He didn't agree with it either. But I think NASCAR was trying to make it fair for everyone by allowing everyone to come on pit road and pit and get back in their positions. Well, they are back in their spots. Kyle Busch is the leader, Carl Edwards second, Ryan Newman, Matt Kenseth, Clint Boyer, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. with 101 laps to go. We're headed back to the green flag.
Guys, that looked like a clean restart. The one that really paid off in this was Ryan Newman. He got clear of the lap car and really shot. He's in third position right now, running down Carl Edwards a little bit. Matt Kenseth, let's not forget, this is a guy that won both the races last year, and we all think that this guy has probably got a car that can win this race. He's in fourth position right now. But I tell you one thing, I'm wondering though, who's got enough fuel to make it and who doesn't?
Hey, watch Dale Earnhardt Jr. making a move. He just was able to dive right beneath the 2 car going to turn 3 like he was shot out of a cannon right up behind the 18.
Boy, I tell you, you talk about a chain reaction. The 2 car in the back at 18, 18 into 2, sideways, down into turn 3. They both held on to that one real good.
It's just like we're talking about these lap cars occupying that low lane, and it just causes frustration with these lead lap cars. I don't know if we've seen the end of this.
Well, a lot of these lap cars are not holding their lane. They're up in the middle of the racetrack, then they dive to the bottom across the hoods of some of these faster cars, and that leads to frustration right there too.
And this is the 33 car, the Super Duty, Bounty Super Duty Chevrolet of Kevin Harvick. And now he is in the mix at 8th position. And the 8 car for Earnhardt is still behind, as you see the 33 car making his way up. By the way, right in front of the 33, the 37 car of Greg Biffle has also been able to go by. There is Biffle as you look across from the top of the Harvick machine.
Well, the 18 car of Conway, he was the one just about to get ready to get turned. Dale Jr. was just about fed up with it. He was stuck on the bottom on the top lane, and Dale was jammed right behind him. Oh, I'll tell you what, he barely made it through without getting spun on that one.
And here's the 18 car as he's now getting past. That, of course, Kevin Conway making his first start of the year in the Joe Gibbs car.
Juan Montoya, here's a guy I'm really impressed with now. He's ran this whole race. They've been wrecking all day long, and he doesn't have hardly any scratches on that car. A little damage on the left front headlight, but the whole side of the car, the back of the car, pretty good shape, Andy.
Yeah, for a first time here at Bristol, I'm really impressed with what he's been able to do because this is one of the toughest tracks on the circuit.
Juan Pablo Montoya won his first NASCAR Busch Series event at Mexico City. Already a winner here in Busch Series competition and holding his own here on the first tough short track of the year. Back up front, Kyle Busch getting a challenge from the 60 car of Carl Edwards and can't quite hold on.
Ryan Newman's right there too. These guys is heating it up for the lead.
Newman, he's had a solid car throughout the day. We haven't been talking a whole lot about Ryan, but his car's been stuck on that bottom like we talked earlier in the show, and he's been hovering right there in the top 5 throughout the day and staying out of all the accidents. And man, that's what you got to do here.
Here we go with these lap cars again.
Here goes Newman, the 12 car, getting around Marcus Ambrose. Now they are side by side, and Edwards is stuck behind Timothy Peters and will lose the position.
It looks like Ryan Newman's got his car dialed in at the right point of the race, right here to the end. Like I said, we hadn't talked about him much, but he's really got his car hooked up right now.
Good looking car. You can see that car from a long way away. That big, bright, orange, yellow car, whatever color. Now he's passing the 5 car for the lead. Good, clean pass right there. Looks like Kyle Busch is the handling's going away in the car, guys.
Yeah, his car's not Kyle Busch's car in the 5. He's not as good as he was earlier in the race.
Yeah, having trouble. That car just doesn't seem to come off the corner like it did about 35 or 40 laps ago. And as you see, Newman has taken the lead.
Matt Kenseth, he's hanging right behind Carl Edwards in the 60. Matt Kenseth in the 17. Maybe he's got that brake problem worked out that he had earlier.
The 12 car is your leader. 5 is Kyle Busch in second. Edwards the 60 in third. Then Kenseth is fourth.
And now Ryan Newman's got to work the lap traffic.
Now, if the caution flag comes out here pretty soon, Kyle Busch, he's pretty well in position. He knows he's beat right now by Newman. He's fallen back from the leader. Pretty well got a pit then, wouldn't you think, Andy? How can you stay in the racetrack if you know you can't win the thing right now?
Well, maybe he can just pedal his car here, take care of his tires. Maybe the racetrack will change a little bit by the end of the race, and he'll still have a good car. I wouldn't give up just yet.
Let the tires cool down on a caution flag, maybe reassess what's going on.
And Ryan Newman's car is taking off right now, but no guarantee that it's going to stay that good till the end of the race.
Shannon, what's going on with that 5 car down? You heard anything?
Yeah, Rusty, he's loose. He's been loose all day. He was loose in qualifying. He just came over the radio and just said loose. He's just dropped to second place behind the 12 car.
One thing that can happen here is this racetrack can tighten up as the race goes on. You get a little bit more rubber on the racetrack. That loose race car might be good for him later.
If it burns a little bit of fuel off, that car tighten up a bit. It might come back to him.
Again, as we have 81 laps to go. Now 80 laps to go as Ryan Newman has become our 14th different leader today. There have been 12 lead changes among 14 different drivers. Here's a 22 of Mike Bliss. And he is now being shown in 10th position, or make that 9th, going by Reed Sorensen. Laps clicking down. Ryan Newman, our leader. Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards in hot pursuit. Set. Ryan Newman is our leader here as he has taken the Penske Dodge, the Kodak Dodge up front, but here is the 5 car now battling back as Newman tries to work beneath the 7 of Mike Wallace.
I'll tell you, that's just an unreal shot off the back of Mike Wallace's car, all in high definition. You see him laying on.
Whoa, here goes Busch.
60 just turned us. Roll. Inside.
Help us out with that 7. Can you not see what he's doing? That's twice I've gotten dumped today because of lap cars.
You hear the frustration on Kyle Busch's radio.
Well, watch again. There is the 5 car. Let's see what's going to happen. And he's trying to get, and actually the 60 and 17 stacked up behind him as they were trying to slow down while the 12 is trying to get by Mike Wallace.
It's that typical Bristol stack up. One little bobble in front, and all these guys can't react quick enough.
Mike Wallace.
Stand behind you. Don't let him wreck you. Don't let him wreck you.
Mike Wallace trying to stay on the lead lap. That's his problem right there, trying to stay in the lead lap. 12 car gets in, arrow loose, gets sideways. 5's got to check up, and he gets hit in the back by the 60. That's, what do you say? That's typical.
Said he's just racing hard, trying to stay on the lead lap. He had that upper groove, really wasn't doing anything wrong, and Ryan Newman just got loose, stacked him up behind him.
When you lay that right side of that car against the inside of another car, that's arrow loose, and that happens all over the places. Yeah, it's much bigger and much more pronounced at a place like Michigan, California, the faster tracks.
All right, here is Kyle Busch on pit road, as well as Greg Biffle. As Kyle will come down and they will put some fresh tires on, make an adjustment. His car was not bad, Andy, but it wasn't nearly as good as it had been.
No, but it was coming back on him. I tell you what, I like the looks of his car there, and I don't know if they're going to adjust on the car or not, but Shannon, what are they going to do on this pit stop?
Andy, they are going to adjust the car just a little bit. He says he is still loose on the entry to the center. He doesn't want to go too far, though, because he says the track is starting to cool off a little bit. They're going to give him 4 tires and a full tank of gas.
All right, Kyle Busch getting service here as we work the 10th caution flag of the afternoon. This one coming out when there was contact between the 60 car and the 5 car as Kyle Busch goes around. And it is typical short track action, Bristol Motor Speedway style, as contact, and they go spinning sideways.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Busch Series on ABC. Brought to you by Nextel, only from Sprint. And Aaron's, with over 1,400 stores nationwide. Everyone's a lucky dog at Aaron's.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. Exciting NASCAR Busch Series action on the high banks of Bristol, Tennessee. Carl Edwards he can handle as the battle heats up front, as the laps are clicking down. Just 60 laps to go. Next time by here to the checkered flag. And Rusty Carl hugs that bottom groove to make the pass.
Well, on the restart here, he's got cooler tires. His car's been running great throughout the last stint right here, the last 10, 15 laps before that caution flag. We've seen him heating up. Matt Kenseth was running up there too. Newman, though, I'm surprised Newman's backed off right here. His car looked like it was getting stronger to me. I think as he burned the fuel off, get the tires worn back up, get his rhythm back, I think he can probably run Carl back down.
And as you watch Carl Edwards begin to move away, we are pleased to be joined by the president of NASCAR, Mike Helton, who was kind enough to come over from the NASCAR control tower. Mike, to help explain a little bit of the confusion a moment ago on that pit stop.
Yeah, during that caution, we were saying one thing over the radio. We were saying that pit roads were open, or pit road was open. But the signal that the drivers see down at the opening of pit road, the flag and the light, was still red because of the radio traffic and everything happening very fast. Our guys didn't get the message in time to get the leaders, so the light went from red to green somewhere after the pace car had passed, which was unfair to somebody. And so our decision is that, okay, you know, it was a miscommunication on our part. It was a mistake that NASCAR made in this case, and there's no absolute fix for that. So we felt like the most fair thing to do was to simply say, okay, guys, pit road's open. You can pit if you want to. You don't have to. But when it's all said and done, we're going to line up everybody just as you were when the caution came out and go back at it, because there's no absolute clean fix. But we felt like that was the most fair fix.
That's the most fair fix, but somebody's going to be upset all the time.
Somebody's going to be upset. There's either the 5 and the 12 and the 60 that saw the red and said, wait a minute, I can't come on pit road if there's red light and a red flag, or the guys behind them that said, no, they said it was pit open. So somebody was going to lose on that deal, but we try to just take the most fair route possible, although we realize there's not a clean fix across the board to put it back right.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, we applaud you guys for trying to do the right thing to make the playing field level for everyone. You wanted to give everybody a pit stop. The lights wouldn't cooperate, so you had to let everyone come in and line back up.
Yep, that was what we ended up doing. Things happen quick here in Bristol, and you know, the 100 laps later, it may not make any difference, but we know it did when that happened. We were just trying to be fair to everybody.
Well, these guys are running around here, Mike, in 16 seconds. How could you make that decision in about 5 minutes? That was pretty quick.
Well, sometimes we get lucky, and sometimes we just mess up. And this is a case where things didn't go just right. Most all the time, things go right, and it clicks off. But this is one time it didn't, and we tried to put the best Band-Aid back on it.
Wait a minute. You're telling me you're human? I thought you guys were like God.
Shh, don't tell nobody.
Okay, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for coming by.
Right.
Mike Helton, the president of NASCAR, kind enough to come by. How many organizations in Major League Sports do you get the head honcho to come by and explain what's going on during the event? That's often that Mike would come over and tell our viewers at home, hey, we made a mistake. We had a problem with the lights, and we tried to rectify it by doing the right thing for everyone.
Well, I'm glad he came on just then, because that was about the only time where the action calmed down just a little bit, enough to talk to Mike about this.
Yeah, he must have called down on pit road and said, okay, guys, y'all calm down a minute, because I'm going to go on TV and I don't want anybody wrecking while I'm talking.
Yeah, anybody at Rex right now, we're going to bring you to the big truck and have a conversation with you after the race.
And I'll tell you, when Mike Helton speaks, everybody listens, but not everybody's going to agree with that decision. They just did the best they could, and everybody just have to live with it.
Well, the 60 car pulling away somewhat, but is there a developing story for Carl Edwards, Dave?
Yeah, Jerry, he doesn't look like he has a problem, does he? Leading and pulling away from the 12 car of Newman at this point. Thinks he might have a tire issue. He followed it for a couple of laps. The team said, feel it out. They were up on the wall, ready to change all 4 tires, or at least the 2 on the side that Carl thought he had trouble with. So far, he's staying out and has stopped talking about the issue.
I swear some of these drivers sometimes, I think, do that just to get the heart rate up on these crew members. They'll be out there leading, they'll say something like that, and everybody jumps up, and then all of a sudden everything's okay. So,
you know, on a restart, Andy, you get going, and these tires get so much buildup on the tires that you actually turn the wheel back and forth trying to clear that extra buildup off the tire, and you end up skating around on top of the racetrack. You actually talk yourself into thinking you have a flat tire. You'll go ahead and you'll radio some of your friends maybe behind you, hey, have Newman come up alongside me, look at my tire, or have Junior look at my tire. And everybody always gives them, yeah, it's okay. It's usually just that rubber buildup.
Yeah, looks like Matt Kenseth wants to pull up beside Ryan Newman and tell him, say, look at my tires, how they look.
Well, a lap ago, the 17 car did sneak a peek to the inside of the 12, entering turn 3, but Newman slammed the door and pulled back away. This is the battle for second position. Less than 45 laps to go here, and what has been a slugfest at Bristol, Tennessee.
Like a 20 car gets up in the wall, a lot of right front damage just then. Eric Amarillo Got the right rear
Slow
toe
down, slow down. We got right front damage. I don't have brakes. Broke the rotor. Just go slow on the bottom. Bobby took us out.
One thing he wants to do, if he's no brakes, he just needs to stay on the racetrack, get down to apron, don't dare try to come down pit road. You know, it does look like Bobby Labonte got a little aggressive with him.
Yeah, he just barely caught the corner of Eric Almirola.
Right. And again, Labonte's a driver that doesn't do things like this, Andy. He's just the rate of closure.
Stay low, stay low, stay low.
Yeah, definitely not intentional, I'm sure, on Labonte's part, but contact no left.
Well, right before that happened, I was looking at the lap times. The top 6 cars were running exactly the same speed. They were all in the 50s. So the competition really got tight as far as lap times. Then the caution came out. This is going to change a lot of stuff right now.
It's going to be a great finish.
15 cars on the lead lap. 41 laps to go. We are under caution for the 11th time of day. This should be quite a shootout when we come back to Bristol in just a moment.
This ESPN telecast of the NASCAR Busch Series on ABC is available in high definition on ABC HD, presented by Vizio. We are coming out of our 11th caution. So far this year, Carl Edwards has finished in the top 5 4 times, and he's been in the top 10 for 5 times, but he has yet to win, Jerry, and he's trying to get his first one today.
And Brent, we are, whoa, as the 2 car gets a little bit of a back end against the concrete wall. We are far from the checkered flag here at Bristol, because anything can happen, and it normally does.
With 36 laps to go, these guys are up on the wheel. You're going to see everything they've got. Matt Kenseth's been hanging back there trying to keep his car clean. It's time to go.
You know, we talked about a little while ago who can make it on fuel, who can't. Everybody can make it on fuel right now. This thing's going to be a shootout, Jerry. The top 6 cars are running almost identical speed, so nobody's really got the upper hand except the guy out front with the clean air, and that's Carl Edwards. Shannon, you got more?
Kyle Busch, they've been fighting that loose car all day. Well, guess what? The car is now a little snug. He says he likes it, he can put wheel to it, and he can deal with it. A little incentive for crew chief Alan Gustafson. He said, if you win, we'll get you cookies and milk. Kyle's been saying he's been hungry and just wants to win this race.
We see Kyle Busch making a charge here at the end of the race, just like he did last week at Atlanta.
Caution's
after having
caution's out, hand up, hand up, hand up.
And caution this time, it is the 12th time in the 7 car, the Geico.
29 rush me.
Mike Wallace's car has some front end damage as he backs it down across, and rear end damage across the turn 3 concrete.
Mike, I didn't see that guy slow down up there.
That was his spotter you heard from a moment ago talking to Mike.
Right now, the front wheels are towed in so bad because of the wreck, he can't even get the car to go forward. That's the reason he's backing up. It's so bad, the only way he's going to get this car to move is do what he's doing. He's backing up into his pit stall at the moment.
Yeah, damage on both ends of the car, the Chevrolet, for Mike Wallace, our in-race reporter, as the action gets hot and heavy here in the final laps. Look again, let's see what happened.
Got one slow up here. Go high, go high, go high, go high, go high.
Well, let's right on board with Mike Wallace. As we head to commercial break, Mike Wallace spins around here and brings out caution number 12. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Well, Kyle Busch has had his share of frustrations this year at Las Vegas. 400 feet shy of the checkered flag. He gets past and he spins, still finishing second. 1 week ago, a $1 lug nut in the final pit stop cost him a victory after leading 143 laps. He was leading here today at Bristol Motor Speedway. He slows down and gets a tap from behind by the 60 car. He goes looping around and has to come on the pit road. And guess what, guys? Kyle Busch has the freshest tires of any of the cars in the top 7 or 8. He pitted on lap 234 and has now driven all the way back to 4th position.
It's going to be fun to see if he can get up there. He sure got a good car, fresh tires.
There, and he's going.
28 laps.
Back to green flag racing. If this was a track meet, they would call it the bell lap. If it's a boxing match, it's the final round. I told you, get up on those gloves and go after them. And that's exactly what Matt Kenseth is trying to do in the 17 car.
Well, right now, Kyle Busch has got a bumper underneath Ryan Newman. He's got a lot better tires. He's right on his bumper. Give him a little tap there. Look at that. Bam, get out of my way. Now he's going to get underneath him here just shortly. This kid's really amped up. He's fired up. He's been beat up black and blue the last 3 or 4 races. He knows he's got a car that can win the race. I'm not going to bet against him right now.
Yeah, Ryan Newman's not going to give him the inside line easily, but Busch takes it away. He nudges his way underneath the 12 car in turn 3.
Come on, get away from him now. Get away from him.
Okay, he's got 24 laps to get it done. I guarantee he's going to lay down the fastest laps he's got these next 20 laps.
Well, in 24 laps, he can get it done in that amount of time, Andy. Although they're running around here in about 16-second laps, they're pretty quick. And while we're saying that, Carl Edwards is knocking off some pretty good times, but Kyle Busch just turned the fastest lap of this session so far.
In this race last spring, the 5 car for Kyle Busch started all the way back in 20th position, and guess what? He came sailing to the front late in the race and led the last 12 laps to win it here. He's had to go to the back of the pack after that spin, come on the pit road for fresh tires, and now with 22 laps to go, he has driven the wheels off of that low Chevrolet to get himself in position to possibly get a win here for the first time.
I know his team is, they're probably already talking to the 41 team. It's a lap car in front of them. Please give them the lane. They need to get up through there. Don't need to be held up by a lap car.
Well, the bad part about him right now, Shannon was telling us earlier, he's complaining about his car being tight. He can't hug the bottom line. He laid some big numbers out, fast lap speeds a little while ago, but now he's about 3rd quick. The leader's running a 16.31. Kyle just ran a 16.41, and he's trying a higher lane because it looks like he's lost the handle on that 5 car. So he's going to try a different lane and see if he can catch back up.
I wouldn't give up on him yet.
Now the 41 car, the yellow car there, Reed Sorensen in front of the 5 of Kyle Busch. He is being shown 2 laps down in 17th position. He is a lap car. But now the leader, Carl Edwards, having to work underneath some of the damaged cars. Edwards, the 60, is the leader as we check in his pits with Dave.
And remember, Jerry, it was that traffic earlier today that cost Carl Edwards a position a time or two, so he'll have to navigate that. The problem that he thought he might have had with a tire seemed to be even something, maybe like a body panel or something in the right rear, something vibrating. The crew took a look at it under this caution, and they still don't think they have any issue. The only issue is the guy behind him trying to track him down in the 17.
Tell you what, I'm pretty impressed with Matt Kenseth. He's putting the heat on Carl Edwards.
He's putting the heat, but now Kyle Busch has got past the lap car, Reed Sorensen. He's starting to wheel in right now, Matt Kenseth, so let's not count him out. Just about the time I started to do that, he gained some traction. He's back at it again, Andy.
There's no give up in this 5 team.
They are not going to quit, and a flat tire on the 18 car, and he will have to come down pit road. Kevin Conway driving his first NASCAR Busch Series event, and he misses pit road. He's trying to get on.
Stay low. All right, get down on the flag. It's 3,600 at the yellow line down here in 4. On around here now, sir.
Trying to get that Joe Gibbs owned Chevrolet on the pit road as the laps are clicking down here. 13 to go. And what has been a slugfest here on the high banks at Bristol, Tennessee.
And here comes Kyle Busch.
He's caught up to Matt Kenseth right now. He's about a car and a half behind him. The problem he's going to have when he finally catches him, he's going to start losing that nose because he's going to lose aerodynamic downforce.
But he has fresher tires.
And that tends to make up a big difference.
Fresher tires make up for a lot.
Now, if there's ever a time to dime in the corner, this is a time for Kyle. He needs to run in hard, run the car up the racetrack, and fly down to try to get some momentum to run up in the bumper of the 17 car, Matt Kenseth.
Carl Edwards has 9 career NASCAR Busch Series victories. His last win coming at a Gateway at St. Louis back on July 29th of 2006. It has been 18 races since Carl Edwards has gone to victory lane.
Edwards is carving through traffic pretty good, Jerry. He's working the traffic. He's working the traffic better than anybody. 10 to go now.
Carl Edwards trying to run the entire NASCAR Busch Series 35 race season. He wants to win the title. He came in second a year ago after the dominant performance by Kevin Harvick, who was the champion in 2006. 8 8 laps to go. Kenseth in second spot, and they're closing in on Carl Edwards.
Yeah, this lap traffic is going to be a factor before the checker flag.
Marcus Ambrose, the damaged rookie in front of Carl Edwards. He has the 59 car. Edwards able to get to the high side of Ambrose. It is 2 car lengths now, the separation between first and second.
We've seen these races at Bristol come down to the last lap. Sometimes a bumper gets used, so Matt just needs to get right to the bumper, that 60.
Lap traffic, 30 car coming into effect right now. If he needs to get up out of the way, and he's clearing them.
And that's where his spotter is helping Carl Edwards go to the inside of Stanton Barrett in the 30 car. A single handful of laps to go. Kenseth, who won this race last August and swept the Cup race the next day, running in second position.
These cars are so evenly matched. All the way around the racetrack, just dead even.
Well, Matt Kenseth is there. It's a half a car length now with 3 laps to go.
Don't forget, these guys are teammates.
Yeah, but they both want to win. I know Kenseth wants to win this thing real bad, and Edwards been on the wheel all day long. It's the closest they've been all day long. 3 laps to go. Kenseth can pull this off.
2, no pressure, clear about 5, clear about 5.
Will he do the bump and run? Will he get up and tap him in the rear end going into 3? The patented pass a lot of drivers use.
The 17's got to get there.
Here's Jack Roush. Roush Fenway owns both of the cars, as you heard Andy Petrie say. 2 laps to go. Final lap. White flag waving that time by for Carl Edwards, trying to hold off the 17 of Matt Kenseth and the 5 of Kyle Busch. Here comes Busch pedaling for all he's worth, but they will not get it done as Carl Edwards takes the victory.
Good job, brother.
We're in a hurry up off air. We have run long. We're going to try to talk to our winner here, Carl Edwards, on the radio, Rusty Wallace.
Carl Edwards, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us.
Hey, Rusty, I got you. Man, that is awesome. Now I know why you love this place so much. Just can't thank Scott and my crew. And congratulations to your son on the pole. Man, it's awesome.
Congratulations, Carl. Your car looked great out there. Looks like late in the race you kept getting faster and faster. Is that what was happening?
Yeah, you know how it is. They swing so much, and it just kept getting freer and running better. And just glad that was Matt behind me, Rusty. That was fun. I'm going to do a backflip here.
All right, buddy. See you later. Congratulations.
All right, once again, Carl Edwards wins our NASCAR Busch Series event from Bristol Motor Speedway. For Rusty Wallace, Andy Petrie, and Brett Musburger, I'm Jerry Ponsenkin. So long, everyone, from Bristol, Tennessee.